It's time for Windows Weekly. Paul Thurrott and Mary Jo Foley are here. Stand back, mainstream users. There are 1,000 new Android apps on Windows 11. We'll tell you how to get them and why you don't want them. New Windows 11 Dev Channel build today. .NET celebrating its 20th anniversary. It's back to work at Microsoft's Redmond campus. And the Halo TV series is coming. It's all coming up next on Windows Weekly. A reminder to all our Twit listeners, it's our annual survey time once again to help us understand our audience a little bit better. We want to make your listening experience better, and it also helps us sell advertising. We don't want to track you, so it's completely voluntary. But if you can take a few minutes to let us know a little more about you, we'd sure appreciate it. Go to twit.tv/survey22, and thanks in advance.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Windows Weekly with Paul Thurrott and Mary Jo Foley. Episode 764, recorded Wednesday, February 16th, 2022. The Rat from Punxsutawney. Windows Weekly is brought to you by Hover. Whether you're a developer, photographer, small business, Hover has something for you to expand your projects and get the visibility you want. Go to hover.com/twit and get 10% off your first purchase on any domain extension for the entire first year. And by HackerRank. It's time to reboot your technical interviews with HackerRank's easy-to-use tools. With a pre-made question library, code playback, and built-in whiteboard, you'll be conducting better technical interviews and instantly identifying the right talent. Go to hackerrank.com/WW to start a better tech interview for free today. It's time for Windows Weekly, the show where we cover the latest news from Microsoft. On the line, on the horn, on the Zoom with me right now, Paul Thurrott. I think it's Paul Thurrott, not somebody offering me a updated auto warranty. Paul is at thurrott.com. His books are at leanpub.com. Good day, Paul. Good day, sir.
Good day to you.
Good day. Good day. Also, a good day to Mary Jo Foley, all about Microsoft.com, her ZDNet blog. Now a Red Ventures joint. Great to see you both. I hope you had a good week. We are it's a national holiday today. No, not Lincoln's birthday. No, not Valentine's Day. It's the end of mask mandates in Northern California.
Right.
I just walked in the door. No mask.
Breathe that air.
How did it feel? Did it feel weird?
Yeah, it feels really weird. And I'm not burning my masks. I'm keeping them.
No.
Keeping them around just in case. Because we haven't gotten through the Greek alphabet quite yet.
No. Yeah, I think we have a ways to go.
Maybe not. I don't know. No one knows.
Let's hope not.
The CDC thinks we're crazy. They say, put your mask on. What are you doing?
Yeah. Well, their advice has always been rock solid. So
that's the problem. Yeah, right. I think we're all just punch drunk at this point, and
everybody is.
We're reeling. Yep. We don't know what to think. And I watched this. You watched the Super Bowl, and it looked like
no one had a mask on.
Happy days are here again. Yeah.
I didn't see a single mask anywhere at the Super Bowl.
And I think you might find this a shock, and the New York Post reported it. Apparently, Snoop Dogg smoked a joint before his song.
I'm stunned.
Stunned, I tell you.
Stunned.
I love it.
You know what, though? They missed not having Martha Stewart in that show.
Have you seen the ads now for this Bic lighter?
Yes.
It's bizarre.
Right?
It's bizarre. I feel like we're living in the timeline that I was hoping for as a teenager. Someday you'll be able to buy marijuana in the stores. No, you won't. Oh, dude. Someday Snoop Dogg and Martha Stewart will be selling lighters for your bong. No.
Exactly.
It's wild. But that's not what we're here to discuss. We're here to warn mainstream users.
Oh, no.
Here they come. Here they come. 1,000 plus Android apps coming at you. Tell me all about it, Mary Jo and Paul.
Okay. So up until this week, insider testers were testing the Windows subsystem for Android and the new App Store for Android apps that was going to work on Windows 11. As of this week, Microsoft starts rolling out a preview of this to customers. And between last week and this week, they've added 1,000 apps and games to the store. 1,000. I'm like, wait, you just added 1,000? Like, what are these apps? Like, tell me names. And all they could tell me were game names, like Subway Surfers and this and that. And I'm like, no, like, what apps did you add? And they're like, we'll have to get back to you.
We don't
I'm like,
know.
so you don't even know what apps you added to the store. Okay. Well, there's new apps anyway in the store. And again, this is a preview. There's a lot of different steps you have to go through if you want this to run. But I have a lot of users in my Twitter feed who are excited about this.
Who decides what apps are available? Does Jeff Bezos decide? Does who?
Well, no, I think they have to meet some kind of compatibility bar. I think
you do,
but
right.
So, and this is the Amazon App Store. This is the Fire Store.
It is.
Listen, if you guys missed the days of the Windows 8 App Store when everything was just garbage and like all these like farting apps and stuff, you're gonna love this store because
we're back. Okay.
This is the weakest collection of mostly games I have ever seen. It's horrible. No, it's horrible.
Although there's two things, right? There's the Kindle app is there.
Yeah, great. But that's made by Amazon. There are 4 or 5 decent apps, but most of this stuff is like Dr. Panda toy cars, Fluffy, Ice Queen Salon, My Little Pony coloring.
I think Mike is
Pink Fong Dino World.
Mike has figured it out. He says Snoop Dogg chooses what apps are available.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
That makes sense, actually.
It does.
So the thing that's weird about this is when they tested it, they only had 50 apps and games.
Yeah.
And at the time, there were 4 or 5 good apps and then a bunch of really crap games. And now there's 1,000 and it's still only 4 or 5 good apps. And it is an astonishing collection of garbage. Like, I don't even, there's actually no value to this. Like it's horrible.
Good, because I didn't want to go through the store and look for anything that might be good or a productivity app or something. And so that's why I asked Microsoft to do it for me. I'm like, can you guys just give me a list of 5? And they couldn't give me a list. So
I could give you a list of 5. I mean, the Kindle, like you said, the Wall Street Journal.
Okay.
Yeah. Audible
Wall Street Journal.
There.
Okay.
Oh, well,
there's
there
a
you
Final
go. There's
Fantasy
3 I use.
15 game.
No.
Okay.
And the Washington Post is in there. Groupon is in there.
Is there an advantage to using
Bleacher
the Android
Report.
app than to say opening the Wall Street Journal in your browser, though? That's the question.
No.
Right.
Kindle app, I guess. I mean, you can use the Kindle web reader.
All right. So, look, mostly no. For those few people that use Windows 11 as a tablet, it works with touch and all that. I realize the web kind of does too, but this is a little bit better for that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, that's reasonable.
I think it was Barb Bowman on Twitter, because someone said there was literally nothing in there that matters to me. But she said, look, there's a lot of like smart home apps that are only on mobile.
Right.
None of them are in the store. But they could be.
That's what everybody was waiting for, right? Like that.
Right.
When you ask people, why do you want Android apps on Windows? A lot of people said, I want home automation, smart home apps. I'm like, okay, are they in there though? Are any of those in there at all?
Not that I can see.
Okay.
Not that I can see.
Yeah.
It's like I said, it is astonishing how bad this list is. It is 950 items of complete uselessness.
Wait.
Also, this is U.S. only, just so people know.
But wait, I think I understand now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because the question I asked is germane. Those games you can't play in the browser. So the bulk of it is stuff that is not replacing an browser experience, but something unique. And that makes sense. I mean, you don't need the Wall Street Journal app. You don't even need the Audible app because you can play it straight from Windows. But you can't play My Little Pony in Windows, at least not in a web browser, right? So that makes sense. Now
I don't have any knowledge of a My Little Pony app. I'm not really sure, but maybe you can. I don't know.
Whatever. You know what I'm talking about.
I think most people with little kids these days are throwing an iPad at them or something.
Well, mostly because gaming is something you need the app to do. So I get that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there are high-profile Android mobile games that are very good, including some shooters.
Yeah.
None of those are in there.
Well, they're not. They're also, those must be hard to port, right? So they ported what they could, and the category makes sense because that's not replacing a web app.
Okay, but Microsoft, I realize it's like riding a bike and everything, but they already did the "we have a crappy app store" thing, and it's kind of weird to me.
It's the default.
Here it is again.
It just goes right back to that.
You just go right back to that.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy.
But is that really crappy? Those are not bad games.
Oh, Leo.
It's just kind of, I have this in the notes, but I wonder what they're going to do about managing this, right? Like, okay, consumers on their home PC, go ahead, download all the Android games from the store that you want, put them on your PC. If you're at work, can somebody block this for their users? Like, is there a way?
Oh. Yeah, there must be a way to block Windows Store app installs.
I asked Microsoft, and they said, well, this is just a preview right now, so we have no comment. I'm like, wait, so there isn't a way. There isn't a way.
There isn't a way. So I don't know.
Because I think the manageability question is important, right? Even though this is aimed at consumers and retail.
But what do you mean by that? Like, what's the problem? So someone has a work laptop and they put a bunch of My Pretty Pony games on it. Who cares? Like, they're not accessing Active Directory or anything. Like,
no. But then they have all this on here. What if any of those things get hacked? Right?
Yeah. Oh, sure.
Or what if you have a company who says, we don't want people putting games on there because they're going to play games during work hours, and we don't want that.
Oh, don't worry. The quality of these games ensures that's never going to happen. I don't care how bored you are. This is not it. There's nothing good here.
Yeah. Okay.
It makes me wonder what the point of this is.
Just to say they did it. That's what it is, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Look, the one, I don't know. I guess if you're on a traditional computer, you'd be better off using Amazon's Cloud Reader, honestly, to read Amazon books. But the one sticking point we've had for a few years now is we don't really have a high quality Kindle app of any kind.
Right.
And obviously we have the Android version now, and it's okay. Like that's okay. Yeah. This is not a reason to have an entire app store going on or anything like that. But it's fine. Like that, it is fine. But this thing, just to be clear,
it's going to be for gaming. It's like, now that Leo said that, I'm like, I think they're obsessed with mobile gaming, right? Activision, when they made the bid to buy Activision, a big part of that was mobile gaming, and I think they're just like, okay, like the gaming is our entree into the consumer space, so we've got to have mobile games everywhere, right? Pretty much.
I was curious to see, and based on the wording they had in their blog post, I was curious to see this thing live because last June, when they first introduced this, they were talking about stores within stores. Remember, this was the big concept. Epic Game Store is going to be in there, other stores. This is not a store in a store. This is an app you download from the store, so to speak, the Microsoft Store. And then from then on out, you do everything from that store. There's no real integration with the Microsoft Store. It's a separate entity. When those apps are updated, they're updated through the App Store for Android, not through the Microsoft Store. So it does become like another thing to deal with. It's not, I'm not saying there's a lot of overhead to it, for you as a user, but, you'll see little pop-ups when apps are getting updated and things like that. And I kind of wish it was a store in a store. I think I don't like there being too many different places where updates can happen. My computer here, there's at least 4, that I can think of.
Yeah. I was going to say, well, then you better not run Windows 11 because there's a lot of places things can update from, right?
Yeah. No, but I mean, like, Windows Update and the store are kind of known quantities, but most PCs come with some kind of software, Lenovo Vantage or HP Support Center or whatever, where you can download drivers and other things like that. And now we have this fourth thing. Here's another store. I guess if you have the Epic Game Store installed or Steam, you have another store there. I guess we're just drowning in stores. I guess that's what this is.
Yeah, pretty much.
Stores are money makers. Is that the thing? No.
Well, they
not for Microsoft.
I mean, they're
not
for
Apple.
Microsoft.
Not for Microsoft.
No, not for Microsoft.
It's really interesting to me.
It's very
I think it's appealing. I think people, people want this, right? They're excited about it.
I think they had false hopes about what this.
What else would they be getting that they were hoping for?
I think they wanted the home automation stuff. A lot of people I talked to,
sense.
anyway. Like that was one. Like when I asked people, "What do you want from Android apps on Windows?" It kept coming back to home automation stuff. That's what.
I don't think most. We should define who people is too, because in the sort of enthusiast community, I mean, this is exciting because it's like, oh my God, Windows is getting like this major new feature. It's interesting, and it is. But I also think just for normal users, they don't understand Amazon App Store for Android at all. And when they think about Android apps, they think about Android apps. They think about the billions of apps or whatever it is you can get from the Play Store. That's not what you're getting here. These are technically Android apps, but they're mostly crap. Like I said, they're mostly really bad. It's not much. It's not really adding a lot of value. They would have been better off curating something, putting them in the Microsoft Store. You don't have to worry about what the origin is of the thing.
You're right.
It could be a web app. It could be a Win UI app. It could be an Android app. Who cares? But now we have a Kindle app. Awesome. Most people would have seen that for the win that it is. But I just feel like this is, I don't know. It's less of a win, because most of it is kind of terrible.
Yeah.
It's kind of hazy. I don't know.
It's still considered a preview at this point, so it'll be interesting to see what happens when it is no longer considered preview.
Let me make a guess. It's going to ship with 2,000 apps,
more
and 1,990 of them will be crap.
Right.
I think that's how it's going to go.
I feel like this is that we've already been through this with Chrome OS.
Yeah.
Yes, but at least with Chrome OS, you actually get Google Play apps, right? So there's an inherent confusion on Chrome OS between what apps are, because they do come from different places there as well, right? They have two stores essentially, or two avenues, I guess. But there's also that added weirdness of, and this is an out-of-date example, but it's just a good one. As a Chromebook user, you could use like Word on the web if you wanted, or you could use Word for Android. And now technically you kind of can't, but that was the story for a while. And each of them had different little feature sets, right? One of them wasn't a superset of the other. It wasn't always obvious which one you had to use. And that's a tough thing to throw at normal people. You have two versions of a Zoom app or a Teams app or a Skype app or whatever the app is. I'm just making stuff up, but you have to kind of do the work. Which one of these do I like better? Do they both work offline? And they don't, by the way, or whatever the situation is. So there's some complexity to it as well. And then it's Android, right? So Android hasn't done a great job, or Android developers, I should say, haven't done a great job of tailoring their apps for larger screens. This is something Google's been trying to push hard. They're pushing it hard again with this 12L.
Well, do all these apps work well with large screens? I mean, is that why there's only 1,000 of them too? I mean, they're designed.
So I haven't tested all 1,000 of them, but I would assume
that's part of the criteria.
I would think so. Yeah. So at least like Kindle, which I have looked at a lot, works well full screen and resize the window.
That's why there's 1,000.
It's curated set, right? It's a subset.
So I can see, I'm just imagining, but I can see some of the criteria being, one, it's designed to work on a larger screen, at least doesn't look like it's a phone app. Two, there's no analog in the Windows world for it, so you can't, the Wall Street Journal.
That isn't a criteria, no.
The thing is, as far as like it doesn't look like a phone app goes, honestly, I don't think that would throw too many people depending on the app. We were talking about this home automation app. So if you had an Android handset and you were using your phone to connect to it, I suppose you could run some of those apps in a little window. It would probably look like a phone, like aspect ratio wise, and you could control your smart lights or whatever you're doing, and that would probably be okay because it's like a little dashboardy kind of a thing. But by the way, there's yet another way you can run apps on Windows. Like it's another stupid additional way to. I feel like they're just throwing spaghetti at the wall at this point. It's like, what are we going to get you to do to like this thing?
Don't you think part of it can be Chrome compete? Like that's why, like if Chrome has it, we're going to have it, right? Like that's a motivating factor.
I do. It certainly looks bad when a lightweight OS like Chrome OS can run Android apps and Windows can't.
Right. Yep.
Yeah,
it's all very exciting.
Well,
that wasn't the only exciting feature that shipped.
I see. There's more on your article. My goodness.
I feel like it was the only exciting feature. But please continue.
The weather icon on the taskbar, Paul, which I saw you were having trouble getting to look like a weather icon on yours.
So this is the one, and I'm not alone, fortunately, I guess. But this is like evil genius territory for Microsoft. I was saying this to Brad this morning. Like in Windows 10, there was something called, what was it called? News and weather, or news and information, or something. Anyway, it was like the widget thing is in Windows 11. And because of the way that taskbar is different than the one in Windows 11, you could have a little preview on it with a little graphic that would show like the sun or some clouds, give you the weather forecast, whatever. It's kind of nice. And people are like, I like having that right there. It's kind of a nice little thing. Like I have the time, I get the date, I get the weather. They kind of go together. Yep. The problem with it was in the beginning, like you would mouse over it as one would. You're just mousing around, and it would pop up what we now call the widgets interface, and people hated that. But you could configure it not to do that. So whatever, they reached some semblance of nicety with that, and then they got rid of it. They went to Windows 11, and they added the widgets interface, and it's just an icon. They don't have that little preview with the weather anymore. Yeah. So now in this update, they've added it. But this is what they did is classic. They put it over in the far left of the taskbar. So over the next year or two, hundreds of millions of people are going to upgrade from Windows 10 one way or the other. They're going to buy a new computer maybe, or they're going to actually do the upgrade. And now, instead of a start button in the corner, they're going to have this widgets interface, which they're going to click. They're not going to be able to help it. Yeah. This thing, usage of the widgets interface is going to go up like 1,100%. You know, because people
don't you think that's the point?
That's my point. It's an evil. That's what I mean by evil genius. Like it's really smart. Now it's still Microsoft, so of course they screwed it up. So like I woke up this morning, and it had the weather, and this is like 8:30 in the morning, and instead of a round sun or a sun with little clouds on it, it was a crescent sun. And I was like, is there a
moon?
An eclipse happening today? Like you know how the moon is like often a crescent. The sun is almost never a crescent because usually there's no planet in front of it. But this morning on my taskbar, it was a crescent. And then later in the day, it switched to the
crescent sun.
A crescent sun, yeah.
Does that mean partly sunny?
No, it meant they were screwing it up. It was a mistake.
Crescent sun. Come on, man.
I know.
You mean there's going to be an eclipse?
Right. That's
no.
What
I have the crescent sun. I have the crescent sun as my icon for the what do you call it? The notification center. Because it has focus assist. It has focus assist.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we got to talk about that.
So it always looks like a moon, right?
That's right. That's the focus assist thing, which, by the way, is now on by default in Windows 11 for some reason. It's interesting. Right. Yeah. We spent 3 years getting notifications working in Windows 10, and now we're just turning them off by default in Windows 11 because we don't know what we're doing.
I keep forgetting to check.
It's a multi-click process, as you might imagine, to turn that off, but you can't turn it off. That's what that is. That's focus assist. So... But this widget thing, later in the day, it switched to like the widgets icon. Like it lost the live preview thing, or the weather forecast. So I restopped it, and it just wouldn't come back. So I turned it off. So, congratulations, Microsoft. Great job on that. I'm glad you tested it for months and months. What else we got? What else could I do?
I feel like I want to cheer Paul up. I feel like
the microphone.
The microphone
on the taskbar. That's a good one.
I used that this morning in a Teams call. That works fine. Only works in Teams though. It doesn't work in this. It's supposed to work in
other apps, right?
You click it and it mutes, and you unclick it and it unmutes. What does it do?
So here's that's what it does. So here's the problem in Windows 11. So first of all, they showed that feature off in June last year.
They did. Yep.
They shipped Windows 11 without it. Except there is a microphone app icon in the taskbar. You should see it right now because we're using Zoom. There's a microphone down there. You can't use that to mute and unmute Zoom. No. If you click on it, the settings app launches. So, all right. And then they said, we're bringing this feature back. Don't worry, we're still going to do it. Asterisk, it's only going to work in Teams. But if third parties want to add it to their apps, they just have to support some API. They have to actually add support for it to work. Okay, that's cute. Okay. And I think you, Mary Jo, asked them about Skype. And if I'm not mistaken, they had no comment about Skype. That was my memory of that. Yeah.
Yep.
So
I know.
What a waste. Because really that icon is, in fact, on your screen in Teams, right?
This is about to get way better. You think I'm done ranting on this. I'm not. Here's what's classic about this. It only works for the commercial version of Teams.
Oh.
There's a version of Teams that ships inside Windows 11 that does not allow you to connect to a work account if According to
It's just
Microsoft.
a dopey icon. Then who needs it?
It doesn't work with that. It doesn't work with the version teams built into Windows 11.
You know what? They're still saying it's for other apps. So I'm like, okay, you should have just said right now Teams only. But when they announced it again this week, re-announced it, they said for all apps. Right?
This is the beta version, though. This is not a release version.
No, this is it. This is public.
This is the
This
real
one's public.
Only
the Amazon
not
App Store
beta.
thing was in preview. The rest of this is just so this widget thing that can't work right on my computer. This mute icon, which on my computer hilariously just turned into a different icon as I'm looking at it. That's crazy. Anyway. Doesn't work with anything but Teams.
Is it a crescent mic icon?
No, the mic went small and it was like a location arrow. So it was. I guess they're combining location and mic in the same space for some reason.
I'm here.
What else we got, Mary Jo? I'm sure some of this is good. What else is in this update?
Share windows more easily. Isn't that part of this one or not?
Yes, it is. It is.
Yeah. Do you like that feature?
I don't use it, so I don't know. I'm actually not even sure what it does. So
I think it's when you want to show a window, like in a Teams meeting, and you don't want to show the wrong thing. you can more easily share just the window that you want.
Yep. So when they announced this feature last June, I thought it was going to be. Right. There's another one that didn't ship the original version of Windows 11. I thought what it was going to be was sort of a share pane, share panel replacement, almost like I'm doing something on the web maybe and I want to share it, and a share thing would come up and you could say I want to share it to Pocket, to the Mail app or something like that. That's not what it is. And you're right. It's for sharing a screen. Since I don't see it right now, I think we can guess it probably only works with Teams. That's going to be my guess, right? Like it's not working now. It's not. I've never seen it. I've never actually seen it work. So, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. What about the new Notepad app, though? How about that?
That one's pretty good.
How about that?
I like that. I like that.
Okay.
I would like to know more about how they made it.
Dark. Right. There's dark mode. Dark mode, rounded corners. For some reason, a lot of space at the top where you have file, edit, view, and the settings button. There's just like a ton of white space up there.
What that really is so oddly, I was just writing about this because I'm trying to update my own Notepad app to take on some of these features. You can kind of fake this effect in a desktop application if you keep the title bar area and the next thing down, which is the menu, the same color. They blend, and you have no border between them. They kind of blend into one kind of it looks like one panel.
Yeah.
And there's a way in Windows, it's hard in Windows Forms, but there's a way in Windows to actually remove the title bar, and then you can have kind of a header at the top. But you have to worry about implementing the window buttons and all that kind of stuff, and it gets kind of messy. But they're trying to make it look a little modern, I guess. And I think, honestly, all it is they've just added white space. I think that's the bigger fonts and more white space.
Like.
I think that's all it is. Yeah, but it looks nice.
It looks fine. It's still Notepad, which is all I care. It works.
Yeah, they've updated some of the dialog boxes.
Don't mess with my Notepad, man.
It's a good one. And actually, I like the way it looks.
Did I hear Paul Thurrott say he likes it?
He did.
I mean, it still doesn't have all the features of my app, but it's, for an amateur first try, it's not bad.
That's why he wants to know how they did it, so he can steal the source.
Are you attempting to keep feature parity with?
Yeah, well, I already have feature superiority, Leo, but I am.
But of course,
I would like to match the look and feel of it. I think it's possible but not elegant to do this in Windows Forms, which is the version of the app I'm screwing around with right now. I think in WPF it will be easier and better. Like dark mode support is kludgy. What's the word? Kludgy, I guess, for Windows Forms. So I'm not going to be able to make it look exactly like this, but I can certainly head that direction. Yeah,
right.
I do like it. I like the new Notepad.
Yeah, and then there's a new media player. I have not looked at that at all because I don't really need it.
Completely pointless. Yeah, it's just yep.
Okay. Yeah. So, you know what? My biggest question about this rollout and kind of the also the implication, this is not the only time they're going to do this. They're going to keep doing these kinds of feature updates to Windows 11 going forward at various intervals. They didn't say how often. So to me, doesn't this... to me, this feels like they're breaking their promise of one feature update per year, right?
Okay, so here's my theory on that. First of all, we had this discussion maybe back in December-ish timeframe where I sort of took this post and said, oh, look, this means they are doing this. And you and others correctly pointed out, no, what they're saying is we may do this, or we are reserving the right to do this, right?
Right.
And this being update Windows 11 outside of that feature update release once a year. So what they've basically confirmed, Panos Panay did in the blog post about this release, was Microsoft intends to ship features and updates and improvements to Windows 11 outside of that annual feature update. Yeah. And we know now, because we just got it, this thing is just it's a cumulative update. It's just a standard update.
Right.
It happened to fall, actually, when did it fall? Was it the B week?
Week C. This is week C.
Actually, week C, right? So week C is usually previews and optional updates, right?
It is.
So I suspect, and I don't know this for a fact, but it seems reasonable that they would allow, or that businesses managing the way that their users get updates would be able to block these updates and prevent them from happening.
Not take them right away. Yep.
And well, up until the feature update, in other words,
just keep
at some point you'll have to take the
blocking.
feature update on whatever schedule that is.
Right.
But these particular updates are outside of that and can be blocked.
Okay.
I think that's my guess.
I bet you're right. Yeah.
And look, most Windows 11 users, like individuals, they're going to want this stuff. Yeah. I mean, this thing shipped incomplete, And look, there are problems, like I pointed out, but these things, not the widgets thing, but the mute unmute thing, the taskbar sharing, those are features they promised last June. Now, I'm not saying anyone lined up to get Windows 11 because of taskbar sharing or whatever, but I think it's important for them to come through on those promises that they made. So it's mostly good, I think, for individuals.
Yeah. It just felt kind of jarring when you see them say, and by the way, this isn't the only time we're doing this. There's going to be a number of feature updates throughout the year. And I'm like, wait, all the IT pros wanted was one feature update a year.
Oh, they cheered it. They cheered it.
Right?
Yeah. Yep.
So, but you're right. Consumers and enthusiasts, people who care about is the line on top of something X number of centimeters versus not. People like you. People like you.
Okay, I wasn't sure how you were going to say that. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, who are a little obsessive about the look and feel and such, perhaps.
Who notice it anyway.
Who notice it. I think you people will care about these kind of updates. But me, I'm like, if I don't get any of these until October when the feature update comes, I don't really care.
The other thing is, this is how mobile operating systems are updated too, right? Apple and Google both have the facility to update system components through their app stores and provide what are basically new features midstream over the course of a year. And they both do that, right? And so I think this just puts Windows into that normal, what is now considered normal for platform updates. Chrome OS gets an update every month. Basically, and those updates could almost always are new features. Right. They may not be major, like feature updates like we have in Windows, but they do update it every month.
Yep. Right. Yeah. Again, this comes from the weird position Microsoft always is in that they want to do one set of things for consumers, but businesses want something else. And when you have one operating system that's supposed to be the platform for both, then you have to make choices that may not please both sides.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So who wins? Business.
Businesses should win.
Historically, businesses have won. But I think, like I said, I think they're going to have that out. That they, if you're in a managed environment, whatever it is, WSUS, System Center, Intune.
Yeah, I think that's a good point that you're making. That might be how it is blocked.
I think. I don't know what the policy is, but it seems like those C-week updates, you could block them.
Right.
So, just to, I'm not keeping score, but Mary Jo, you were right. There's a February feature release. That's true.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Paul, you were wrong.
What?
Didn't you contend that
No, he was thinking that they had promised that they were going to do it, but then he went back and looked at the wording and he's like, okay, they didn't
It's not
promise
clear.
it, but
They haven't said
they're definitely
anything.
implying.
But now they've
what
said
they're
it.
going
Now
to.
they've said it explicitly. We
Now they
are
have said
doing
it.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
we
they
are
have.
doing this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, they
So
have.
you were right too, Paul.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody was right.
Everybody was right.
We're all winners.
Can I just
people.
can I have a sticker, please? I
Yes,
just
you all
want the
get stickers. You all get stickers. So, but when they say one feature release a year,
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does that even mean now?
does
right?
that imply
what's-
like they would have rolled up all of this stuff and then released it all at once?
Yeah.
I think it's better to
Maybe,
dribble it
right?
out. Maybe not. What
Yeah.
IT?
You know what?
I think it is
So that-
for now because of the way.
What is the
Windows
one
11
feature
is.
release? Is it just the cumulative update of all the cumulative
Right.
updates?
The roll up of roll ups.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it's
it-
unprecedented what they're doing. I mean, they had two feature releases updates a year, but didn't they
Right.
every once in a while push out stuff in between, or no? This
No,
is something
mostly it
brand
was
new.
app updates. It's possible someone could pull out an example of that. I mean, they certainly have been working on this, different method of updating the system. But no, I mean, it was basically 2 updates a year. My guess is that October or whatever month arrives, we get the first feature update for Windows 11. It will consist of a roll up of all of these updates and some other things that are unique to this update, right? Because the way they're testing things in the dev channel, they might want to just reserve some collection of that stuff for October and call it, and just to make it something that people want to get.
Yeah.
If all it is another roll up, then it's like, well, we're just getting these month to month anyway. What's the difference?
Right.
But they've not said
Okay.
anything about
Yeah.
that,
Okay.
as they wouldn't.
Yeah.
Those guys.
And as you say, there's a way that IT could certainly turn off the spigot.
I believe so.
Say
I'm
stop
not an
messing
expert
with
in that area, but
I'm sure.
I believe if you're
There always
managing
has
that
been.
environment,
Yeah, there always has been.
You know what? It would be great for them to add a throwaway line into that blog post saying, and if you're an IT pro freaking out about this, don't worry, you can just not apply these
Chill, man.
updates.
Chill, man.
Maybe everybody knows that. Maybe they feel like they don't have to say it, but I've had several IT admin type people ask me, like, how do we manage this? Like, I don't see how we manage this.
It's interesting.
So, I don't know.
Ever since the BYOD era, I wonder how much IT pros can stop it. If you're a Notepad user and you're so excited about dark mode or whatever
And
it
you
is,
got to get the
and
Notepad.
you got to
update,
have
right?
it.
Yep.
Isn't the IT department going to look like a Grinch if they say, well, no, we can't have that because we haven't tested it?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be hard. I
God.
think if anything, that's what I'd be upset about. Not
Yeah.
the ability to stop it or not, but just now you're making me look like a jerk.
Right.
Look, I don't work at a big company. I don't know what these things are like anymore. I don't know. The last time I was at a big company, that people were super gluing USB ports so you couldn't plug
Right.
iPods into
Right.
them. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like the bring your own computer whatever model that we've had for a long time has been usurped by hybrid work, and now a lot of people are just using their own computers. And I'm sure that's not true of these giant managed companies, but I feel like we're almost at some new point in history where maybe the majority of computers out there are maybe not managed. They have like fine grain management. If you install Word and sign into a corporate account, you can let your work manage the computer, or they just manage Teams. Those are the options, and you'll see that a lot with applications where you sign into your AAD account or whatever, and you'll get that option. And maybe that's just the world now. Like Mary Jo was asking about all these games on a computer. It's like maybe a lot of places just don't care.
Yeah, maybe.
They can remotely wipe Teams or your Outlook store or whatever it is, or your OneDrive for business access, and not touch the rest of the computer anyway. So who cares? I don't
Like
know.
with conditional access and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. I'm it's a topic I think is going to be interesting to watch, like how businesses react to this way of getting updates into people's hands.
Now that the mask mandate is over, those guys can come out of their holes like that rat from Punxsutawney, whatever it is, and we can see what's going on in IT. I don't know.
A rat?
Whatever it is.
Is that like the New York pizza rat?
No. The guy who predicts. The groundhog. Is it a groundhog?
Right. Yeah, it's a groundhog. That's why they call it Rat Day.
Groundhog.
I mean Groundhog Day.
Right. Yes.
Punxsutawney Phil.
There you go.
Yeah, you live in Pennsylvania. You should know this stuff. Don't they require this for citizenship? Incidentally, thanks to Marcy in our Club Twit Discord, who tells us Bill Gates has arrived in Barcelona. He just left Palm Springs, flew to Barcelona in his 2018 Gulfstream. They stayed for 2 hours, probably refueling and to get fresh stewardesses, and now they're off somewhere else.
Okay.
But, this is that Jack Sweeney kid who's also tracking Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Well, he must be on his 20th anniversary .net tour,
He must be.
It's kind of cool. I mean, he's got a Twitter handle for all of the above. It's just, so this is Bill Gates.
In case you want to know where they are.
Bill Gates Jets is Gates Jets. I hope, though, Jack, you've got a domain name as well. I'm saying, Jack, you should get jacksjets.com or something like that. And let me tell you where to go to get that. Hover.com. That's where I register all my domain names. It's time to make plans. Let Hover help you achieve them. Our sponsor and our registrar of record. If you're a blogger, if you're creating a portfolio, if you're building an online store, maybe you've got a podcast. I registered for my Leo on the Line podcast, which is my, fantasy down the road podcast. LOTL. I registered Lotl.fun. Lotl Fun. Good name, right? Hover. Thank you, Hover. They've got them all. Even if it's just a more memorable redirect to your LinkedIn CV, Hover has the best domain names, the best email addresses just for you. Yes, email. Now, email is important. I think certainly any business should not be at hotmail.com or at AOL.com. But in an individual, I think it's really important to have your own custom domain. I have several email domains from hover.com. Email your domain name is key to connecting with customers, building trust for your brand. Of course, we have at twit.tv. Hover has domain-based emails for all your needs, small or large. So if you're wondering, where do I host the email? Hover will do it for you. It's easy to set up. You can add as many mailboxes to your domain as you need. When your domain renews, it's automatic. Your mailbox renews as well. Very convenient for people who are saying, well, it's a little complicated. What could I? Makes it so easy. And man, the prices are unbeatable. Their most popular mailbox, just a no-brainer solution for business owners. You can get access from anywhere. Of course, you can use the email app you're already using. It's standard IMAP server. Or if you don't want to use an app, they've got a webmail interface. It's great. Be accessed wherever you are at your domain, at Pete'sHotPockets.com or whatever it is. And once you have your domain name, it's easy to renew. Whois privacy is part of the deal, so you don't have any upsell on that. They have great pro-level tools. I use the fancy DNS tools they've got, both for domain and email management. They're intuitive, they're easy to use. But they also have Hover Connect. So if you don't know that stuff, don't worry. Push button connection to most web hosting companies. So it's very simple, just with a couple of clicks. And of course, because they ensure your privacy, you're going to have less spam. You're going to protect yourself from unwanted solicitations. Hover's just great. I guess this is the bottom line. At Hover, you're a customer, not a source of data. All right? You're not there so they can upsell you with a million things. They're just a quality company helping you take back control of your data with a reliable, tracker-free email. Hover's trusted by thousands, hundreds of thousands of customers who use their domain names and their email to turn their ideas into reality. I'm one of them, a very happy Hover customer. Whether you're, I always keep a tab open at Hover, just in case. You never know when a great idea will hit you. That's where Leo.fm is registered. I really like that because that's such a short, nice domain name. I have a lot of them. Whether you're a developer, photographer, small business, podcaster, or just an individual, Hover has something for you to expand your projects, get the visibility you want, look more professional, gain control. That's the big, most important thing for me. Gain control of your email. Go to hover.com/twit. Get 10% off your first purchase at any domain extension for the entire first year. HOVER, hover.com/twit. Get that 10% off your first purchase. And Hover, I love you. Keep up the good work. Couldn't be happier. Just got some ideas for new domain names I want to register. Hover.com/twit. Now, back to the show. Dozers.com. I like it. I'm thinking. We got twit.am. Yep. That's a good one. Whoops. I think we might have a little DNS issue with that. Thank you, JT. I will check. Make sure. Yeah, okay. I will check with the engineering team on twit.am and our wiki. They are not kaput as far as I know. But you know what? The best way, if you want the audio, go to twit.tv/live. And you can get links to, there's 2 audio streams. And you can get links. Maybe yours is out of date. I think we might have moved stuff around, JT. All right, moving along. Paul, Mary Jo, talking about Windows. There is a new Windows 11 dev channel build today. I couldn't be more excited.
Really?
No.
Well, this is it is big in terms of number of features in this because there hasn't been a new dev channel build for 2 weeks for various reasons.
But I think this might be the biggest one ever.
It's one of the biggest ones for sure.
Yeah.
So a couple things about this build. It came out this afternoon. It's build 22557 dev channel. It's from the Nickel branch, if you're following along with the periodic table of code names. But then they quickly say at the very top of the blog post, okay, we're going to stop talking about what branches these things come from. So I think this may be one of the last times where we see them say, okay, this is the first one in the Nickel branch, right? I don't know if they'll totally try to stamp out those code names in some way and just move to like 22H2, 23H1 or whatever. But at least today's, we know this is Nickel. What's the biggest thing in here? Probably being able to create folders, right, and pin them to your start menu. That's a pretty big feature, and something people have wanted, right?
I really like the new gesture thing.
You
can swipe up from the bottom of the screen to get the start menu. Swipe up from the right side to get the notifications. You know, they have different. There's a new grab handle from like the right side, which we used to call charms in Windows 8. I mean, I think it's. I'm interested to see them doing that kind of work. No, I don't.
Use gesture? No, you don't. Okay,
no.
I was going to say, wait, you're using gestures?
No, in fact, I turn off a lot of gestures. Just because I don't use touchscreens a lot anyway. But I mean,
you're right.
One of the things that's kind of neat about Windows 11, I was trying to remember if it was 10 as well. I think it's just 11, is they duplicated the multi-touch gestures through the touchpad, right? So they're identical, which I think makes a lot of sense. They're not talking about that here, so I don't know if, you know, that's this. I don't have a trackpad in front of me, but I'm curious if they're going to do something like that. But I think this is neat because this answers some of the questions or some of the complaints that people have had.
Right.
Well, frankly, since the beginning of Windows 10, which is that it's just not as friendly as a tablet OS as Windows 8 was. It was one of the few things that people kind of liked about that. So I think it's kind of I think it's kind of cool.
And to me, it felt like Windows 10 had some touch stuff, and then they kind of took it all away with 11. Right now, they're bringing it back gradually.
Well, but these are new. Like these are gestures they've never had
though.
before. Yeah, I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Okay. So they have new gestures. They have the folders. They have the drag and drop to the taskbar. Pin your apps to the taskbar by dragging them there. Yep. They've got a lot of new stuff around Do Not Disturb and they're trying to re-engineer the focus experience that we were talking about before the show started, I think.
That's right. Yeah, so focus mode
assist,
is changing to focus, or focus assist is changing to focus.
Yeah. Right. So there's going to be a do not disturb option that sounds like it'll be a little easier to use. I find Focus Assist very hard to use in terms of when I want to just not be bothered, like during a podcast or something. I'm like, oh, there's so many things you have to set. Why is it so complicated? It would just be nice if there was a button. Do not disturb. Okay, it's off.
Yeah, like the microphone button, but have it be a little moon thing.
Right. Yeah. And have it work. Yeah, have it work with everything.
Yep.
That would be good.
Yep.
Okay. File Explorer Quick Access View is getting a bunch of changes. Like things are being reorganized in there.
Yeah, I don't like that. But yeah, I actually advise people to turn that off. But yeah, they're adding recent documents to it. There's some Snap layout changes, which I think is kind of cool. Yeah. Like that's a cool feature from Windows 11.
That is. So you're going to be able to drag something up to the top of the screen and it'll help you snap into the right kind of layout.
I love that. I use that all the time.
I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's nice. And it's just a neat thing because I don't think most people ever knew that this feature existed. We've had it for 10 years now, I think. Actually, no, it probably goes back technically. No, we had a Snap feature in Windows 7, I think.
Okay. So let's talk about the old Snap versus the current Snap. Snap in Windows 7 and 8 was horrendous. So horrible.
Well, especially in 8. I mean, 8 was
the worst.
Miserable.
It was unbelievably bad. Like I can't tell you how much time I spent trying to snap apps in Windows 8. I'm like, is it just me? Is it like I don't know? Like
people forget this, but the initial version of Windows 8 would not allow you to have two apps side by side that were the same size. They had a thin channel that was a fixed width. And your app had to explicitly support this special snap mode. Yeah. And if you had that, you could have like a thin column. And that was it. And then finally in 8.1, they started adding I think they 50-50 split, and eventually they just went to variable split. Yeah. But yeah, it was really bad.
Yeah. It was pretty terrible. So now I like that you can go up in the corner and use it.
Yeah. No, I mean, if you know the keyboard shortcuts, you can sit there with a window and move it all over the screen and have it occupy different parts of the screen. You can maximize it, minimize it. You know, it's actually really nice.
How is this different from Windows Snap? I mean, isn't this what you've had all along? No. So it's a little. Well, the big difference to me is, they've evolved it over time, right? So one of the things I don't remember which version this came in, but if you snapped a window to the left, in 50% of the screen, they would have, I think it was called Snap Assist. It would show you thumbnails of all the other windows, and then you could choose one, and that would fill in the space. Yeah. So with Windows 11, they've kind of evolved it where you have different Snap layouts, where it could be like a grid of 4 or one tall one and 2 small ones, or whatever the different layouts are. And the trick is you have to mouse over something to see that these are possible, but at least it's there. And I think what they're trying to do now is make more of those layouts available, for one thing, because right now it's kind of there's not too many depending on your screen size and resolution and all that. But they're also making it a little easier because now you just if you drag a window toward the top of the screen, you'll get this kind of a grid of layouts. And then you can.
That's better.
Oh, I like that.
That's
cool.
way better.
It's more discoverable.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah,
exactly. It is.
Because it gives you a little indication. It gives you like a preview.
It does.
If
you know what you're going to get.
If you start moving a window around, a little thing will come down, and you'll naturally kind of go to it.
Oh, that's a big improvement, I think.
It's much better.
It's an evolution. It's good.
It came from Power Toys, right? The Snap layout.
Oh, did it? Okay.
Right?
Oh, Snap did. You're right. The Snap layout did. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I think, as trivial as that may sound to some people, I just remember so many times on my laptop trying to snap two things side by side. I give up. I can't do it.
No, it's not. It really isn't trivial. We're all used to these little devices like phones and tablets, and they actually, some of them have ways to do this as well, but you don't really do that too much on a small screen. But when you have a big screen, like we would on a computer,
you want to have things side by side.
Yeah,
right?
you want to take advantage of that. So. Yep.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay. So I don't know if you caught this, but Michael Reinders, who sometimes does work for Petri and is I think Windows Weekly listener, he saw, and these notes for today's build are huge, right? But buried in there's something that says, by the way, as of this build, Windows 11 Pro is going to start requiring an internet connection and will require an MSA if you're going to sign in for personal use. So that remember that was something they introduced with Windows 11 for home users, and there was some outcry about that. And they said, "Don't worry, it's only for home and not for Pro." And now it's coming to Pro.
I thought this was going to be the biggest problem in the world.
I know,
and that
you
this
did.
would make people crazy.
You did. You told me
And
that. You're like, this is the biggest thing in the whole release. And I'm like, I don't think people are going to be that mad. And some people are mad. Some were mad.
So,
but yeah.
Here's the thing. I just, I'll talk about this later, but I was just playing with the Chromebook thing. And, when you sign into a Chromebook, of course you sign in with your Google account. Of course you do.
Mm-hmm. Right.
The truth, I'm not as familiar on the iPhone, but I know on Android, you could skip signing in with your account when you set up a phone if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why you would do that. I suspect I don't know because I never do it, but I guess if you ran the Play Store after that, probably going to ask you for your account at that point. I mean, at some point, you're going to have to get your account in there. I think people are just comfortable with this notion that if I sign into an iPhone, I have an Apple account. If I sign into a Google or an Android phone, I have a Google account. Sign into a Chrome OS machine, I have a Google account. I guess we're just kind of there. I mean, I guess the acceptance level is just high of this. I know I still maintain this will freak out a certain part of the population. And I'm sure there, and there'll be workarounds like there always are.
Yeah.
But I have to, I didn't, you'll be surprised given the things I've ranted about today. I saw his tweet and I had a moment of, contemplation about it. And I thought, you know what? The outrage I thought was going to happen never happened.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Maybe it's time,
Yeah. I feel like the reason I don't mind signing in is I feel like I get more of my customizations and the things that I want if I sign in, right?
Yeah. If you're at all in the Microsoft ecosystem, if you use OneDrive, it's just a really super basic but big example. Yeah. I mean, just the pass-through authentication stuff is great. It goes to the browser, especially if you're using Edge. I think this is just what people expect. I
do too. That's why I wasn't freaked out about it when they first announced it. I'm like, you know what? I feel like many people now just expect this is your experience. Like this is what you're going to have to do.
Yeah, like you. I also sign in. I don't really. But there was a time I would say we'll call it first half of Windows 10's existence. One of the tips I had in my book was don't sign in with that account first. Sign in with a local account.
I remember.
There's a bunch of stuff you want to do first. And now they kind of do the stuff in the background they didn't used to do. So, for example, Windows will apply a kind of a gross name to your computer automatically. It's a stupid name. Windows 11 gives you the chance to actually change the name, but whatever. If you change the name of that thing later, it wouldn't always push that change up to everywhere where you manage your computer, like accounts.microsoft.com or whatever. At some point, they fixed that. So it wasn't really a big deal anymore that you had to do this before you had the Microsoft account sign in. And of course, if you have you also get like a PIN is a very simple way to sign in. Or if you have a facial recognition thing going on or a fingerprint reader, it's not like you're typing in a big complex password every time you have to sign in. And unlike, my iPhone or my Android devices, it doesn't occasionally say, oh, you got to enter your password or whatever for security or whatever. Like, why? What is that's crazy. This other thing is more secure. Anyway, I guess maybe I'm just resigned to it, but I think based on what happened with the original release of Windows 11 and Windows 11 Home in particular, I can't think of any major incidences of problems. And there's certainly not a class auction lawsuit going on, right, to try to get them to reverse course or anything like that. So.
Right. Yeah, I think right after they announced Windows 11, I had a few pings from people saying, did you see that they changed this and now you have to sign in? I'm like, yep, I did. I saw that. I announced it in their post, blah, blah. People are like, I don't want that. Now, I'm like, yeah, well, that's it. That's the way it is.
That said, I am going to write an article called MSA Gate tomorrow. But you know what? Don't worry about that. That's for tomorrow.
I was kind of thinking it might happen today, but I know it's sushi night, so yeah.
I'm going to be like laying awake in bed tonight, staring at the ceiling, thinking about this, and the rage is going to build.
And then tomorrow we'll see it. MSA Gate.
No, I think the world is resigned to it.
I think so too.
Maybe I'll hear it differently. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, listen to my radio show. You'll hear differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
So
A
okay,
lot
Actually,
of
that's
people don't
interesting.
want to do this. A lot of people.
Also, this is pro versus home. And so a lot of people contend like pro is more expensive. I sometimes have to upgrade to pro. So if I'm paying, why can't I choose if I sign in or not? Like those kind of arguments come up a lot, right?
Look,
it is the case that you've had to have an MSA account for a few months anyway on home.
For home.
Pro was
right.
your escape hatch,
It was.
but now it's not your escape hatch. So
But, I think what I would say to these people, to keep using that phrase, is the thing they need to understand is an MSA is safer and is more secure, and it will keep your data safer. Right?
safer than a local account?
Yeah, definitely.
How so?
Because passwords can be broken. And most of those people, honestly, let's be serious. A lot of people probably not even using passwords. You can put two-factor authentication on your Microsoft account.
Yeah, but no, it's not. I don't understand what you're saying.
So
if I have
to
if I have a computer in my house and I log in with a password, that's secure, as secure as I need it to be, even if I don't use a password because it's in my house. Now you're expecting me to go to a third party for a login and connect a bunch of stuff that is outside my house. I don't see how that's more secure.
Your computer has biometrics built into it that require you to sign with a Microsoft account, for example. So even for people who think it's more convenient, like if that's their game or whatever, I either have a very short password or I have or no password or whatever. You could just say, well, you have a fingerprint, or you could log in with your face. Yeah. And this is a very secure way to log in. And it's just, I don't know. This is just a.
So you only need
a
to
local
activate it, right? Is that all? Or do I have to use
what?
it? I only need it to activate Windows. I can then go back to my local login. Yes?
It's not even used for activation. It's just. No, it's just
no. I'm not. This
in
is
other
just
words,
one more reason I will never use Windows. That's awful. No, that's horrible.
No, but okay. Well, hold on a second. So, what do you? I mean, you sign in with your Apple account on your iPhone.
Yeah, because I have to.
Well, okay.
So if I'm going to use an iPhone, well, yeah, it's the same thing. That's why I'll use Linux on the desktop. That's ridiculous.
Oh, I see.
People will be. You have no idea. I'm glad they did it.
Oh no, I'm actually curious. Like
they made it very
I am
clear
too.
what their goals are.
Yeah.
It's like Google saying well, it is exactly like Google saying you have to use a Google account, or Facebook saying you have to use a Facebook account.
Right.
It's locked
They
in.
look at all these. No, they look at all these other companies and like, if they're doing it, why shouldn't we do it? Like they're getting away
because
with it.
they
Why
are
can't
not
we?
because they're not selling a free service, not giving away a free service. They're charging me to give them my information. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
iOS is free if you buy a PC, though.
So okay, I think they do have, and I guess Apple and Google would make the same argument. I mean, there is the security argument to be made, and just think about the point of Windows 10, which they're really pushing harder with Windows 11, which is they want to get everyone on the same version of the software because it makes the whole ecosystem safer, because it's so much easier to upgrade one or two versions of Windows versus 11 or 12 or whatever it is. And this is kind of an extension of that. I mean, they want the whole audience to be using a managed account of some kind. Whether
they
it's
want a
managed through-
unique identifier for everybody.
Okay.
I wonder why they would want that. I can't understand why.
Look, I don't understand why you can't pull the trigger on Skynet. Just accept it. I don't know.
No, I mean, believe me, Paul, you don't have to write the manifesto because you will hear the howls.
Did you hear from a lot of people when they did this on home?
Yeah.
Out of curiosity,
Yeah.
you did, because
So
we
Leo did,
didn't.
yeah.
We did
Interesting.
not.
I really didn't.
Yeah.
I expected to. I expected this.
I
I
heard
thought
from, like,
this would be
3
the
people,
big
I
controversy.
think. Yeah, I heard from
Microsoft
about 3
has-
people. Yeah,
I didn't think I even heard from that many people. I mean,
yeah.
Obviously, with Windows 11, the big controversy ended up being the TPM 2.0 and the 8th gen processor requirements,
Right.
which they hid from the
Botched.
public for months,
Yeah.
basically miscommunicated.
Yeah, they did.
And I feel like that overpowered the natural outrage we should have had over the MSA requirement. But it never. I don't know.
No, it
so
never really
you're saying,
happened.
but Leo's seen it. So
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think. It is the case that usually when you set up a Mac, you create an Apple account or you have one and you log into it.
Well, but
I don't
Mac
think you
actually
have to.
No, you don't. And the Mac is still old-fashioned in that way, in the sense that you actually create a local account. It's the first thing you do.
Right.
You can tie it to an Apple account. That's the way Windows 7 used to work.
Yes, that's right.
Actually, that goes back all the way to XP. XP was local accounts, and they had a .NET Passport thing you could tie into your account. It didn't really do much, but it would work with Messenger.
Well, and this
like
was
that,
your advice in the early days, and I followed it, which is sign in for the local account, then tie it to a Microsoft account because you've already synced everything else with your Microsoft account, and it makes for a very nice syncing. And I agree.
Yeah, there were a lot of So here's the workaround for these folks. There are, and I'm not going to be able to tell you the method right off the top of my head, but you can circumvent this in initial setup. So if you want to create a local account during setup, you actually can, and you don't have to use a Microsoft account. The other thing you could do is,
I thought that was not true.
No, it is true. You can circumvent. It's not the UI. You have to do a couple things
on a Windows PC.
Yeah, you can get around it.
Really, because it used to be that you would say I have either you'd disconnect from the internet, or I thought that you had to have an MSA account.
No, there's different. You can get around it if you have to. The other thing you can do is everyone probably has a Microsoft account, right? Everyone probably has a Hotmail account or something. You could just log into that account for the first time you pass through. Go into settings, create a local account, make it an admin, reboot, log into the admin account, and then kill the other account. Now you just have a local account. Like you can, there are ways around it. Now, Windows 12, maybe they start turning some of that stuff off. I don't know, but as of today, you can work around it for sure. But yeah, I saw that and I thought, of course they are. Of course they are. And by the way, we were talking,
this is good to know that there's a way around it, because I thought there was no way around it. So
that's what your story should be.
Yeah,
that's your story.
Here's how you get around that. I mean, I don't mind having a Microsoft account. I have a Google account. I have an Apple account, all that stuff. Yeah. But there should be, I feel, if you're paying for a desktop operating system, a way to use it without phoning home. I know there's no way to use Windows without phoning home, period. So,
right.
Yeah, I mean, right. That's one of those things I thought in the lifetime of Windows 10 they were going to resolve. They would slowly back away, and instead they waved their hands a lot, and there is still literally no way in Windows 10 or 11 to not have telemetry data sent to Microsoft. I think.
I think for good reason.
Unless you have an enterprise account, maybe the enterprise.
Yeah, or long-term servicing branch or something.
I think, but I mean for individuals, but for people, like for individuals.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. But you know what? Not as evil as Apple and Google. That's the messaging. So what's not to like? Just sign in and accept that warm bath of
We're not
Microsoftness.
as evil. That's good. I like it.
Yeah. We're like the machines at the end of the Matrix that made a pact with humanity. We're still the machines, but like it's don't worry.
So as long as you can still get a local only account, even if you have to jump through hoops, as long as there's a workaround.
Yeah, they have not removed local account support from Windows.
Okay,
like that, it has not.
So you disconnect from the internet, you set up, and it sets up fine.
It's a little. I don't think disconnecting from the internet will do it. Actually, in Windows 11, I think in Windows 11
you have to do something else.
They enforce that, but there are some ways around it.
Yeah, that was my understanding. I didn't know about the other ways around it.
Yeah.
So you have to go to the dark side of the net.
Look, for a normal person who's calling into your show, I would just say, look, just that last thing I said, sign in with a Microsoft account, create a local account, make it an admin, log out, log into the local account, and then kill the Microsoft account. You'll be
That's not the end of the world. Yeah, that's not that bad.
It's not great, but it's and it even as every time I say it now, it feels like such a temporary thing. Like I do feel like in the future they're going to not allow that or something, but for now you can do that. It works.
All right. I guess I'll take it. What choice do I have? Oh, well, you'll take it. No.
You don't have a choice.
And you'll like it. Okay.
Yep.
The 20th anniversary. It's not just the 20th anniversary of .NET.
That's true. 20th anniversary. Well, I'm not sure what you're getting at, but it's the 20th anniversary of C# and the 20th anniversary of Visual Studio .NET, which is now just.
Isn't it the 20th of? Is it NT? tomorrow? There's a big somebody in the chat room.
NT
saying,
is no.
The
first version of NT was 1993.
Oh yeah, so no.
So no.
Somebody in the chat room said it was the 20th anniversary. Maybe it was the 30th. It was the anniversary of something.
Windows 2000.
2000. That's what it was. Windows 2000. 20th anniversary. Does that make sense?
Be the
22nd anniversary, right?
Yeah. It did come out in February. So .NET is complicated, like a lot of things from Microsoft. Just to give it a mile-high overview, I've been writing about this stuff in that programming Windows series that I'm doing on the site. I think in 2 months I wrote about 20 years of history, and then in 2 months I've written about 1 year of history because it really slows down in the early 2000s because a lot of stuff happens. And one of those things that happens is .NET. And .NET was Microsoft's response to the internet and trying to make an internet-based platform, basically. And they really did not. They did it as Microsoft of that era would have done it, which is they based it on Windows. And so there were like client components that would sit in Windows and in other smart devices running versions of Windows. And then there were these internet services that would be running up in the cloud, but they were running on Windows servers, right? And this is, it was a response to Java. It was a response to Java, Sun suing them over Java. But a lot of good things came out of it. And one of those good things was the C# programming language. And then eventually, Microsoft changed and they went the open source route. And plus we had Miguel de Casa. We cannot understate or overstate how important he is. He took the ECMA version of .NET and created his own .NET runtimes for other platforms, including Linux. And that product that is a very small team from Boston made became the basis for what we now it's just .NET, but it became .NET Core and became .NET. And now .NET is this open source, cross-platform, multi-language thing that's actually kind of awesome. So it's a long history, but it's the pandemic and they had an online event and it was terrible and I feel bad and I wish there was something better for .NET than what it got, but here we are. So what I would recommend to anyone interested in .NET or anyone who's just curious about .NET is listen to the podcast .NET Rocks, which is our buddies Richie Campbell and Carl Franklin. And in recent weeks, they have interviewed Anders Heilsberg, who created C#, as well as Turbo Pascal and much of Delphi, and he contributed a lot to .NET. And he created TypeScript. He's awesome. He's my hero. And also Miguel de Casa, right? Who did Mono and Xamarin, and Xamarin's about to be relaunched into something called .NET MAUI sometime in the next couple of months. So that's kind of cool too.
Oh, MAUI is Xamarin. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's not the first name change, is it?
No. I'm losing track of the names.
It's almost like they're trying to hide its origin.
Yeah. So we'll see. Xamarin was always a little messy to me, but it's if you're familiar with Flutter, it's kind of like Microsoft's Flutter cross-platform framework. So you can create apps for iOS and Android and iPad, obviously, and Windows and the Mac in this version. And then Microsoft has a separate solution for the web, but you can have web components in MAUI as well, Blazor components. So there's kind of I don't know, it's hard to even explain what .NET is anymore. But anyway, you should listen to .NET Rocks.
Yes, they know.
Some great stuff there. They know all they know this. They know their stuff.
Mono was created to make a cross-platform .NET. So
that's right.
Yeah.
It is literally, it's funny because Microsoft, this enormous company, billions of dollars of resources and all this stuff they threw at it. And this guy from Boston, well, from Mexico City originally, I think, but in Boston, small team created a cross-platform version of it, and that's the basis for everything that is .NET today.
Yeah. So it was for a while. It was Mono. Then it got. Oh, let's see. The company was Simian.
There you go.
Simian.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
Microsoft was fighting them. Do you guys remember that?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Yes, I do.
They're like, nope, we don't want you to do this. Nope.
There was some ugly. So .NET almost died a million deaths. Like when Longhorn was a thing, they were creating .NET based APIs, Avalon and Indigo and WinFS, and they didn't talk about .NET at all. That thing was going to be called WinFX. And eventually so many people complained, plus Longhorn was delayed for so many years, that they backported it to XP because they had to. They had this thing that no one could even use. So they're like, well, I guess this is the .NET Framework 3.0. We'll just call it .NET again. And then Windows 8 happened years later. Same thing. They did all these managed APIs. They never talked about .NET even. It wasn't .NET. It's not .NET. And that period, that could have been the end of .NET. But around that time, or right shortly thereafter, that's when the whole the open source stuff started happening at Microsoft, and suddenly Linux wasn't a cancer anymore, and things changed. And so it's a different world.
So basically, it's the compatibility layer for .NET that lets you run on other platforms, right? It's an SDK?
The compatibility layer. I would say it is basically they port the runtime to different platforms because .NET compiles to an intermediary non-executable, so it can be cross-platform. I mean, there are still Windows-specific APIs.
The Pascal P machine.
It's the P code,
P code. Remember that? Yeah.
Yep. It might actually probably it could have its like the Java
Java
VM.
You do a Java runtime for every different platform.
Well, the point of it though is it's safer, right? It does garbage collection. It does it is strongly typed. You know, it supports multiple languages. That was the big innovation over Java in many ways. Although, realistically speaking, 20 years later, we're talking about C#, really, right? I mean, Visual Basic's still a thing, but you don't hear a lot about Eclipse.net or COBOL.net or whatever. I mean, some of those might still exist, but they're not major concerns anymore.
Yeah. And you liked developing for .NET, or did you just do it?
Everything I've done is basically .NET.
Yeah.
Like Windows Forms is .NET. The Windows Presentation Foundation, which originally had its origins in Longhorn, is .NET.
Do you prefer working with that to the native API?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because native APIs in Windows are terrible.
Right.
these are flat APIs with no hierarchy. The C-based that date back literally to the 1980s. I mean, this is horrible. In fact, one of the worst decisions anyone ever made at Microsoft, although it was understandable why they made it, was to port what we now call the Win16, the original Windows API, to 32-bit for NT, and just keep it exactly the same. And they did that because at the time, the only thing that was 32-bit was NT, and they knew no one would adopt it if they didn't do this. So it allowed developers to port their applications over to 32-bit and then eventually to Windows 95 and to the rest of the world or whatever. But they didn't. They did it. I mean, it was good job everybody. But they didn't improve it. Like they didn't make it cleaner or nicer. They just took the ugliness of the API and brought it to 32 bits, ensuring we would be stuck with that for the rest of our lives. So it succeeded, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely.
But, Win32 interop is huge. It's important for Flutter. That's one of the big features in Flutter. If you want a feature that's not available in the Flutter frameworks, you can run Win32 code. It's also a feature of .NET. Same thing. In fact, Mary Jo just asked me about the header of the Notepad app and blah, 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 whatever. And the thing I will publish tonight or tomorrow is about this very topic. It's calling Win32 APIs from .NET because the framework, in this case Windows Form, doesn't natively support some feature that the operating system supports. So you have to call into Win32 to run that code. Exciting, huh? It's like full circle now.
Yeah. So, I love this stuff. I'm the wrong guy to ask.
Yeah.
So we were talking earlier about mask mandates being dropped in Northern California. Google, I don't think Google has announced a date to bring employees back, or Apple, but Microsoft is, yes?
Yeah.
Anyway, this is kind of weird, isn't it? Like we've gone from a year and a half of, okay. And then they're like, you know what? We're not even going to guess anymore. And now they're like, okay, we're coming back.
I know. It was very surprising, right?
Yeah, this came out of nowhere.
It did. So they announced this week that their Washington State campus, which is where headquarters is, Redmond, and their California campuses also are all going to start going back to work permanently February 28th. So yeah, people get a month to make adjustments to their schedules, and after that, it's fully open to employees to visitors, customers. It's like, okay, we're not going to postpone it anymore. We're open.
So let me ask you this, because I've heard from multiple people now who work at Microsoft who are not happy about this. Not happy at all.
Yes, me too.
Like they're
Same.
okay. That's
Yep.
yeah. And I guess, looking at it from the outside, I sort of thought, well, I mean, I don't know. It's the way the world's going, right? We can sit in a restaurant. We can go to a store, go to a sporting event. No one's wearing masks,
Right. Yeah.
Like, why couldn't we go back to an office?
Right. I think Microsoft's going to be, even though they set a hard date, I think they're going to be somewhat lenient in terms of the whole work from home options. They've already said, like, if your manager says you can work from home, go ahead, work from home, or work from home half time or whatever. They're not saying everybody has to come back into the office. They're not saying that.
So maybe this was more designed to appease those people who do want to go back to the office. And
maybe
there are certain teams or just groups of people who feel that they collaborate better in person and they want to do that. And because
or they have a situation with family at home, they're like, I'm not being productive. I can't do my job. I've got kids.
Right.
I've got other family members there. So the campuses have been open partially up till now. Like there are some people who've been working on campus certain days of the week or like even almost full time. But this is more like, okay, like it's time to move on, everybody. Let's go. And if you look at the maps for COVID right now, like the New York Times runs one on every front page every day. Washington State's not one of the better states right now in terms of the infection rates. Like right now, New York and Massachusetts and New England is very are all doing really well, and the other states. Well,
but we kind of rode that wave earlier.
We did.
I think that's why, right?
Right. But it's interesting to see. There's a date, but so this opens up a question Paul and I get a lot, which is, what does this mean for their shows? Because if campus is reopening, does that mean Build and Ignite and all these shows are going to be in person now since the campus is reopened? So what I'm hearing so far, is we know the partner show in the summer, Inspire, which is usually in Vegas, that's going to be 100% virtual. So Build is going to be before that, right? So Build is usually like May. So my guess is Build also is going to be virtual. I mean, at this point, if they haven't,
it has to be.
It has to be, right?
Has to be.
If they haven't got agreements in place with the Washington State Convention Center right now, Build is going to be virtual. Like there's no way that they're going to try to bring everybody on campus or something.
Right.
The other show is Ignite, and so the past 2 years, I think they've had, or at least last year, they had the Spring Ignite, Fall Ignite kind of thing. I hear no Spring Ignite this year. Like that's not going to even happen at all, virtually or not.
I don't.
And instead, there is the Fall Ignite.
I don't even know why they did that. Right?
I know. It was a little weird that they did split it. Like last year after they split it, we were like, there wasn't that much for spring. So I think they're back to one Ignite towards the end of the year, like October, November. And by then, maybe there'll be at least a hybrid event. But
I'd like to put in a request. If it could be in person, I want it to be in New Orleans, please. I feel like I was ripped off from New Orleans in 2020.
Yeah. Well, let's see how they look.
Not Orlando.
Because
please don't go to Orlando.
Yeah. I would guess it's either going to be New Orleans, Orlando, or where else would I guess they might put it? Who else have they done?
Dallas,
Vegas,
Chicago,
Vegas, baby. Come
Vegas. On. Maybe Vegas.
Vegas doesn't seem like a good place either, but yeah.
Well, neither do those other two. All those three have been pretty high COVID areas, so I don't know. So
it's not going to be in Boston. I can tell
it's not. Oh yeah, remember that? That was a fiasco.
Yep.
And probably not Chicago either, right?
They haven't improved the T since then, so don't think that's going to get any better.
Yeah, I guess I'll be surprised if they have any true in-person big events this year, right?
Yeah. Yep.
They are going to go to MWC though, Mobile World Congress. Like they are going to do something there.
Crazy.
So.
That's when March.
Yeah, right. It's just in a couple weeks.
Yeah, it used to always be in February, but I think it might be
late February,
March.
early March.
Huh.
Yeah. I know a couple journalists going to MWC, but I'm like, oh, that seems.
I'm so torn.
soon.
As much as I want everything to be back to normal, I also don't want to do it prematurely.
I mean, I'd love to go to Barcelona, but I don't want to go to a convention center.
Well, Bill Gates was in Barcelona for 2 hours today.
That's right.
So there.
That's right.
Okay. How about, see, honestly, I like the all online events purely selfishly because it makes it easier for us to
I think
cover.
it's more, and it's better for
more
the larger audience. I mean, it's just.
Except,
I think that's going to be
people really watching. Like, I think people turn it on, but do you pay attention when you're there?
Yeah, but I just like having that option. You know,
I do too.
A lot of events in the past, the keynote would be up on the web or something, and then the rest of it would be sessions. You had to be there, and later you could watch the videos. That's fine, but I like the ability to watch them live and be able to ask questions if you want to. I think, and the way they've done it, I guess at Ignite, last couple of Ignites, where they do the same set, so to speak, for different time zones. So if you're coming from like Asia or Europe or something, you can be awake at a normal time and actually ask the speaker questions. I just think that's really cool. I know it's a little harder on the speakers, or much harder maybe, but I just think it's nice. It makes it more open, you know.
They've saved a lot of money doing it virtually, I would imagine, as well.
Yeah, I'd like to see them do both. I mean, I'd like it to be a both kind of situation, like a hybrid thing.
Yeah.
What's the next one? Is it Build? What is the next?
Yeah, Build should be the next show, right?
Okay.
The next big show.
Usually in May.
Yeah. So, and I think for developers, they would like to get together. If it were safe, I think they would prefer to get together. Plus the opportunity to sit down with experts from Microsoft and ask, I want to sit down with Miguel de Casa.
Although, actually, it's a good point, though, that it's one thing to get together with a bunch of people, like at a sporting event or something. It's another thing to bring those people in from every corner of the planet.
And then disperse them out.
Maybe there's some variant that wasn't going to catch a lot of steam, but now it's got this giant petri dish full of victims.
True.
CES was okay. CES, I don't think there was any splashback.
Yeah, but
right,
smaller event though, right? It was a much smaller event. As far as attendance,
but bigger than Build would be.
Yeah,
it was 45,000 people.
Yeah, Build it is probably more of a 5,000.
Yeah. I don't know. This is I don't know is really the bottom line on all of this stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
That's exactly right.
Don't know. Maybe yes. Let's take a little break and talk about our sponsor, HackerRank. Paul, you would be so good at this, I think.
What is it? Is it a Wordle for hackers?
Yeah, basically. Well, that's so funny. HackerRank. I go to HackerRank to take to do programming challenges, and if I were looking for a job as a coder, that is a great way to kind of let people know about your skills, earn a HackerRank, and so forth. HackerRank also has support for people who are trying to hire. Between if you're hiring, doing technical interviews, that's a lot of work. And you got to, between deadlines and frustrating interview tools that just really aren't designed for the technical interview, conducting a tech interview is probably not something you're looking forward to. I mean, you have to spend the first 10 minutes trying to set up an environment to share code from a dozen documents, especially nowadays, when we're remote. This wastes your time, wastes your candidate's time. Nobody's happy. Fortunately, HackerRank has developed an IDE for the tech interview process. You'd appreciate this, Paul. It's an IDE. You use an IDE, integrated development environment. With a set of easy-to-use interview tools, you'll quickly find the best developers for your technical projects. If you were going to design an IDE for technical interviews, what would you put in there? Well, you might put in a pre-made question library, 2,500 questions. You can quickly find the right one for your coding needs because you don't have to make up your own problem, right? A code playback feature. Oh, that'd be nice. So you can watch the candidate's coding approach, score their skill levels. How about a built-in whiteboard so you can brainstorm with the candidate, collaborate in real time? Because what you're really interested in is how this candidate's going to collaborate, what their problem-solving, approach is, and all of that stuff. And this is all part of HackerRank's new IDE for the tech interview process. And you know what? It's free. Time to reboot your technical interview process with HackerRank. Click, interview, done. Start using HackerRank free today. See how much better a technical interview can be. It's time to reboot your technical interviews with HackerRank's easy-to-use tools. Pre-made question library, code playback, built-in whiteboard. It's exactly what you'd design if you wanted to make the perfect technical interview IDE. You'll be conducting better technical interviews, instantly identifying the right talent. You'll be happy. Your candidates will be happy. Go to hackerrank.com/WW. Start a better tech interview for free today. hackerrank.com/WW. I've always been a big fan of HackerRank. I don't have to do technical interviews, though. If I did, boy, I think this would be a really great solution. hackerrank.com/WW. We thank them so much for their support of Windows Weekly. Couldn't do it without you. Microsoft 365er, formerly known as Office.
Yeah, we're throwing a little of everything in here. LinkedIn is part of this too, right?
Nice. So, get it all in there.
I don't know if you all saw this, but LinkedIn is allowing U.S. users to eliminate politics from their LinkedIn feeds.
Good.
Wow.
Yeah. So the way this story came about was very interesting. Joanna Stern at the Wall Street Journal got an interview with the CEO of LinkedIn, Ryan Rolansky. And somehow it came up like, oh, yeah, we're doing this because, they're trying to portray themselves as a different social network, a good social network. And he said, yeah, well, there's actually a setting that some people are getting in their LinkedIn now where they can actually just hit a button and it'll say, customize your feed. Do you want to see political content in your feed? Yes or no? And you can put no.
Is there a way to punish people who post things about politics?
That would be kind of interesting, right? But I was like, do I have this? And I went into my account preferences and I'm like, oh yeah, I have it. Everybody has it, I guess. It's been around for a few months, but they hadn't really talked about it. There's still things they have to work out. Like right now, US only. The questions come up, like one person asked me, he goes, so I work in politics. What does this mean for me? And I'm like, yeah, that's an interesting question. But yeah, I have to say, in my LinkedIn, I don't see a lot of political content, unlike Facebook or Instagram.
No, it's all about business,
Although not all about business. You do see some kind of random stuff sometimes. You're like, why is this on LinkedIn?
Let me see here. Oh, take the Twit 2022 survey.
Yeah.
That's good. That's not politics. Twit.tv/survey22.
That's a good thing to see.
So you
that sounded a little bit like an ad.
Oh, crap. So you said you go into the settings and...
you go into your account preferences.
Okay. Site preferences.
And then feed preferences.
Feed
under
preferences.
There.
Okay. Do you want to see political content?
Yeah.
No. Actually, I don't care.
I was like,
really.
Actually, no.
There wasn't that much in here, but...
I agree.
Yeah. And
there hasn't been that much.
Yeah.
Although every once in a while, I'm like, okay, why is this on LinkedIn? Right? Like,
what is political content? Parties, candidates,
it's a nice
election
thing to
outcomes,
see.
ballot initiatives. Yeah, so they're grappling with that issue too. Of what
they are.
What
it's an experiment, right?
Yeah.
Like they're trying to figure out, like, how do you do this in the right way to the right level? And so, a lot of people from other countries are saying to me, "When do we get this in our country?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know."
You must be used to the fact that Microsoft doesn't do things like that. U.S. first, and then we'll see.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's also if you're not familiar with the politics of a country, you may not know if it's political or not. I mean, you got to have local moderators doing that, right?
Right. But yeah, I put it in there because I'm like, you know what? I'm always ragging on LinkedIn and saying how they're not doing this and not doing that. But like, here's something good they did. So yay.
I like LinkedIn. I've always liked LinkedIn. It's I'm not looking for work. So
yeah, me neither. So I use it more like to kind of keep up with what's going on in my world.
It's good for business.
A lot of people a lot of people put interesting things in their business feeds on LinkedIn.
A lot of
by interesting things, she means things that are potentially dumb to put in their feeds, and Mary Jo was happy to find it.
Yes.
No, like things where they quit their job and they start a new job, and you're like, oh wait, look who left Microsoft. That's interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Very interesting.
Yeah. let's see. Microsoft offers. Oh, this is because Google decided if you have G Suite's Legacy, that free account with the free email, no more.
I feel like Google suddenly woke up one day and realized these guys were skating around for free for some reason.
Yeah.
But
free
before there was something called G Suite, which became Workspace, right? Before that, you could get a Google account and you could add a custom domain to it. And in fact, I did this back in the day. In fact, I think, well, I guess I don't have a G Suite Legacy, but you didn't have to pay for it. So as things evolved, obviously Google had these paid options, but they allowed these people to be grandfathered in. And then recently they said, the free ride's over, guys. You're going to have to do something else. So I've actually gotten a lot of complaint from these people, interestingly. A small business, they might have 5 employees. And they're like, I can't pay $60 per user per year. And I have to say, I hear you. I work for a very small company. We pay for G Suite per user. We actually do.
We do too.
I kind of don't understand not paying for a work account, but okay, but whatever.
But if this was mostly like individuals who wanted to have a custom email,
a custom domain. Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, again, I guess you have various options for that. If you have a Microsoft 365 family or personal account, you can do this kind of thing. You have to have your domain hosted through Big Daddy, through GoDaddy. I don't know where that came from. I haven't. There's a video game that has a Big Daddy. It doesn't matter. Anyway, the point is,
I know exactly where your Big Daddy came from.
Yeah, exactly. Which is going to be a movie.
It's going to be a Netflix movie.
I know.
It's so funny
awesome,
that
right?
you said Big Daddy.
That's so weird. I was literally just thinking about this. Yes, the Big Daddy is literally that character you can see right there.
It's the bad guy. Yep.
Yeah, the bad guy.
Although he turns into a good guy in Bioshock 2. So
that's right.
Yeah.
Which hopefully they'll make a movie of that too. Anyway,
game.
the beginning of Bioshock is one of the greatest video game experiences of all time. It's going to be fantastic in a movie. Anyway, sorry. So I've lost track here. So basically, Google in the beginning was like, "Hey guys, you're going to have to pay for this," and so it's $50 or $60 per user per year, and okay, whatever. Microsoft, of course, has Microsoft 365 commercial accounts, and they start at $5 per user per month. You have to pay annually, so it's probably, what is that, $60 a year. So what they've done is smart, is basically made an announcement and said, look, if you're a G Suite Legacy free edition customer, come to us and we'll give you 60% off for the first year. So the cheapest account, which is equivalent to that kind of G Suite type of thing where it's all online and everything, is like I said, is $5 per user a month or $60 per year. I think 60% off of that is probably what, $25 ish. So I know it's still not free, but it's still a good deal. And it's not just the cheapest account. If you want to go for a business standard account, which is normally $8.25 per user per month, or a business premium account for $12.50 per month, same deal. You can compare the plans online. You can get the 60% off for the first year. It's smart. Good through August 2nd. Yeah, smart. Yep.
This is why we like competition. It's good for consumers, good for prices.
Yeah. Yep.
Microsoft, are we back to when we did Microsoft 365? Now we're doing Surface Laptop 5. What?
So this is a little weird because, this is a leak, right? So Microsoft last September, I think it was, basically refreshed all of their major products for Surface products. The only one they didn't was what I assume would always be their bestseller, but their most mainstream product, the Surface Laptop, was not updated at that time for some reason. So obviously this update's coming soon. We just went through CES. Intel sort of announced the 12th gen, what used to be called U-series processors, without providing a lot of detail. That detail I think is going to come very soon. A bunch of PC makers announced products based on 12th gen stuff without talking anything about model numbers or model names or whatever. It's been very strange on the Intel front, like what they're doing there. And so the supposition here is, well, obviously they're going to be using this next gen Intel thing. But the other thing that's interesting about Surface Laptop
is that pretty real, by the way. This spec sheet.
This is I can pretty much verify this is 100% real.
Yeah.
So the Surface Laptop line, let me think about this, is the only x86 based Surface product that also offers AMD chips. And the weird thing about that is for Surface Laptop 3 and 4, they were one generation behind. So for this product, they're going to be with the current gen. So this is a significant advance in a way because honestly, Surface Laptop is awesome anyway, but now they're going to be up to date on both Intel and AMD at the same time. And maybe this is why they waited. They were waiting for the 12th gen to land on the Intel side. Also, 3 ports for the first time. I know it's a weird thing to celebrate, but remember, this is the product that shipped originally with 1 USB-A port. When they went USB-C, they added the USB-C port, so you have 2. According to this thing, there's going to be 3 ports, so 2 USB-C, which, yes, will have Thunderbolt 4 and USB 4 capabilities. Surface has finally gotten over that hump. And 1 USB-A port, and also that Surface Connect thing, because, you know, Surface, whatever. So hopefully this will be announced soon. I don't know anything about that, but anyway,
Windows Central's Zach Bowden, who does a lot of Surface Leak stuff, I saw him tweet and say, I don't even think this product's coming till the second half of the year. So I don't know.
Geez,
like,
okay. Oh, great.
I'm like, where did this come from, right? Although, you know, Surface lately is announcing things kind of throughout the year, right? Like there's always a spring Surface announcement. Then there's sometimes things in the summer.
I think this thing is necessary. I think this couldn't happen quickly enough. So I hope it. I hope it's.
Did you buy one, Mary Jo?
No, I'm done with buying Surfaces.
Well,
You
she
don't do
has.
that anymore, huh?
Oh, you're done.
Yeah.
You're done. You said.
Yeah.
Even the laptop.
What do you have? A 3 or 4?
Surface Laptop 3. It's been great,
3.
except for when my warranty ran out and then the motherboard died and I had to pay $400.
Okay.
But it's been great.
So if it wasn't for that one disaster, yeah.
No, you know, I like my Surface Laptop, but I just feel like I say a lot, like Microsoft is still learning how to be a PC maker, and there are people who've been in that business a long time, and I feel like they have an advantage.
But how could you live without the rich feel of Alcantara?
Oh, that's one thing I'll never get. I hated the Alcantara.
Oh, we've saddled
that
poor
doesn't
Micah
belong on
with
a
a
keyboard.
Alcantara blue.
No,
Surface
It's too
Laptop.
easy to get
That's
dirty.
Oh, I'm going to have to get him like a Dell XPS now or something good, right?
Yeah.
Something better.
Yeah. No, mine is holding up. I mean, it sometimes overheats, as you guys have seen in the summer during the show.
that's right.
I have to hold it up. Otherwise,
Maybe you need to
it's
live
been
someplace
great.
colder.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Yeah. Surface
That's the
laptop
truth.
owners must live in cold climes.
They must.
Oh boy. Okay.
It probably
I would get
doesn't
one.
help. There's
Really.
probably a ton of cat hair in my laptop. too,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the dream laptop, you guys? Windows laptop these days?
13-inch with like
I want
real
a bigger
battery
one.
life.
XPS
beyond 6
13 maybe?
hours.
The one I want to try is there's a Spectre X360 16-inch.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Really
Oh,
cures
man,
about that.
Really?
Although I
like
don't really
the
use
Spectres.
the.
I really love
full
the
things.
Spectres.
I do like the Spectres a
But
lot.
they're paper thin. Is it still very thin?
They're pretty thin, yeah. And they also
like
the
HP.
EliteBook,
HP
EliteBook
pretty.
X360 14, very very nice.
Who was raving over the XPS 13, the new one? Somebody.
Oh, the new one looks beautiful.
It's beautiful.
It looks
And
beautiful.
I said, you know what scared me is it looks like it has a touch bar. You know, it's got the pseudo function row.
That's right.
And he said, no, it's fine. It works. It's good. It's well thought out. So
Right.
I'm not gonna buy it, but I'm looking.
Yeah.
I look at
It looks pretty.
I've had many
I'll think about-
XPSs in my time. I love them.
Yeah, I've had a few. The 15-inch version of that is interesting to me.
I want something with good battery life. I just feel frustrated that every time you see a Windows laptop, they never really have good battery life.
Yeah.
Right.
You need a Apple Silicon in there. You get some great.
You know, maybe now that Notepad has been modernized, it will be more power management
maybe.
friendly.
Maybe.
I think not Dell, HP is often considered to be the best battery life. I don't know what the
They
Spectre
come
is.
in like
but-
6 hours.
I know you want more.
You always have brutal battery life results.
Yeah, you want more.
It's,
And you always think I'm doing it wrong. And you're like, some of your battery
Look, I
report
don't know
I
what
do. And you're like, nope, you're right.
The problem is the ones I'm looking at laptop magazines. The ones they like are like the all these big Dell Latitudes. You know, these big clunky. Of course, it's got good battery life. You know,
Got to be light.
Yeah, it's a
and
battery.
thin.
yeah,
you know,
it is a
giant
battery.
Yeah, it's a battery
Light,
with
thin,
a
and good
screen.
battery. I want the perfect trio that's impossible to achieve. Right.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
we'll see what the next Qualcomm stuff looks like. I mean, you never know.
Yeah.
You never
I do
know.
know. It's going to be bad.
Okay. Oh, man.
All right.
I'm sorry.
We're going to cheer Paul up. You know how you cheer Paul up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk
Mary
about
Jo
Big
knows
Daddy.
how. It's BioShock time. Actually, let's start with they're good. So you mentioned Netflix is making a BioShock movie, but what about the Halo
Right.
TV show?
Yeah. So
What's going on
Halo
with that?
TV series is going to debut. There was a Super Bowl ad if you didn't see it.
I did.
Looks
did.
great.
Yeah.
It's going to debut soon.
Master
it's on
Chief.
Paramount Plus, I guess.
Already subscribing to that because of 1883.
I mean, honestly, when they announced this, I thought I was like, yeah, what we need is another network app, you know. But honestly, there's a lot of stuff on it. It's turning into something I'm going to have to get.
Yep.
So it hasn't debuted yet, but they've already renewed it for a second season. So apparently they're pretty happy with the results. Anyone who has played BioShock or Halo would tell you this should be a movie or now a TV series because that's how we do things these days. But they're great stories.
Yeah.
They're very cinematic. I mean, if you think about these things alongside any superhero, Star Wars, you know, whatever, these are good for this kind of thing. So, and I think we pretty much wrung the superhero movie genre as dry as it can be. So why not move on to video games? So Halo's a good choice.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. Is the star Master Chief?
Yep. Yeah, it's Master Chief. Yep.
He's not the most emotive person in the world.
Here's what's really cool about it. The woman who played Cortana's voice in all of the games is Cortana.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
She'll sound right anyway.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool.
But it's her. Like, it's literally her. Like,
It's her.
She's
Is she
the
in
actor.
that outfit?
No, it's
What
they've
outfit?
Yeah, what outfit? That's the right answer.
they've toned that down.
Okay.
Actually, one of the controversial things about it is that she's not like in the game. She's kind of bluish usually, sometimes
Yeah.
purple for some reason. But
Yeah.
she's not in the show. She just looks kind of normal. She's like a little hologram, you know, like a little
Okay.
Obi-Wan. You have to help us kind of thing.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
Yeah. But whatever. Anyway, Jen Taylor, I think is her name. So there's that.
There's that.
It is the middle of the month, so we've gotten a new list of games coming to Game Pass. This is a really good selection, actually. Alice, the Madness Returns. This is the
Love that.
what's his name?
Love
American
that.
McGee
Yeah,
game,
American
the
McGee.
sequel.
I love that game.
Galactic Civilizations 3 from Stardock from Brad Wardell. Like, this is the game series that dates back to OS2 in 1993, if I'm not mistaken. Madden NFL 22, where they correctly put Tom Brady in front of Mahomes. And the biggest game of the month, Lawn Mowing Simulator.
Lawnmower Simulator, finally.
I don't know. What to
That was the
say
most
to that.
boring. I used to have a riding mower. I thought this is going to be great. This is going to be so much fun. It's really loud. It really vibrates.
It's really loud.
And you're driving
I think-
around, and it's like, okay, I've had my fun. Nope.
Someday.
3 more hours.
Someday when I retire, I'm going to just get into like train simulators, and I'm
Much
just going to
better.
ride virtual trains around.
Yeah.
You know? I
Lawnmower
can see it.
Simulator.
I know, it's crazy.
You drew like crop circles? Probably. There's like,
I can't profess to have looked into it that much. I'm not really sure what you do with it.
Hey, it's on Game Pass. Might as well try it.
It's right. It's free. Or
It's free.
Included with your
Costs you
subscription.
nothing to mow other people's lawns.
That's right. That's right. You should get paid for that, shouldn't you?
Yeah.
I don't know. And this is only a minor note, but Microsoft has rolled out the February 2022 update for the Xbox One and Xbox Series X and S, and there really is not a lot going on here. Really minor update. The Edge browser runs on the Xbox now. Many people probably don't even know that, but one of the cool things you could do is load an image in the browser, right-click, and then set it as your dashboard background, like you can on Windows. Okay, I know. I'm stretching here. And then the other thing, this is so, I don't even know what to say to this. They've added a comma to your gamer score.
What?
So in other words,
It's easier to read, which is good.
it's easier. Right. So in other words, if your gamer score was like 60,000, it would just say 60000.
You'd have to count the
without a comma.
zeros. That's no fun.
So
yeah.
16 years later, they finally added a comma.
Wow.
So we got commas.
Wow is right.
Incredible.
Incroyable. Ladies and gentlemen, and Mary Jo, that concludes our Xbox coverage for the week.
Thank God.
Thank you very much. Next stop, the back of the book. Back of the book time with Paul Thurrott and his tip of the week.
Actually, this one is going to come to us from Mary Jo.
What?
I know.
Wait a minute. I have to change
lately.
all the lower thirds. I have to press the buttons. Okay.
You are a professional broadcaster.
Through me. Wow.
Now, I really want people to chime in here because you could either look at this as MJF's had a beer too many and this is her tip of the week, or is she right and this is crazy? This week, I'm in Notepad typing a story, and I was poised to type a word, and I saw Notepad change the word ahead of what I was going to type.
What?
And so I thought,
it's
okay.
reading your mind?
No. I'm like, is there autocorrect or like autocomplete in Notepad now? And I asked Paul, I'm like, is there autocomplete in Notepad? And he's like, no, there is not. So then then I just thought, okay, maybe I just imagined
I still haven't seen this, by the way. I have done everything I can to try to duplicate this. And I can't.
So it happened to me again. I was sitting here typing, and I just watched a word change just while I typed the first two letters, and then it auto-completed it. And so then I got scared because I'm like, did they give me a special version of Notepad? And they're just with me.
We're messing with Mary Jo.
Keystroke Recorder Edition.
No, so I started Googling it, and I'm like, there is no autocomplete in Notepad. And so then I looked, and I said, is there autocomplete in Windows 11? There is. And so I went to settings, and then I typed in the search box in settings autocomplete, and yeah, it's on by default. So ever since I shut it off, this stopped happening.
That's okay. Here's the thing, though. So if you can do this yourself. Go auto. I think it's called autocorrect. Autocorrect misspelled words. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's in time and language, and then typing, and there's an option called
it's in
autocorrect.
the typing setting. Yeah.
So it's misspelled words. This is what's weird, because the thing you told me, it contracted a series of words into like an acronym, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that what you experienced?
I don't want it to do
can't.
that. That's terrible.
But mine's on too. This is on by default. I don't know. I have never gotten this to work.
It may have Mary Jo. It might have her own personal.
I don't know, you guys.
Dictionary.
But
might have learned from Mary Jo.
It's super strange, right? Because I have never ever noticed it till this week, and then it happened to me twice in a row. And so I shut it off, like Paul said, settings, then the typing settings, ever since I did that, it stopped doing it. And so I don't know what to tell you. I don't know if they're doing A/B experimentation, if it's something with AI. I don't know, but I'm like, okay, I didn't imagine that. It happened twice.
I will, for the 17,000th time, ask you why you don't actually just use a word processor like a normal person. But
because it's overkill for what I do.
Okay. All right.
Anyway, my tip is, if this starts happening to you, run and also go to settings and typing settings and change it so it's off.
Okay.
I do wonder if it's A/B testing. You know, sometimes they just start doing something like through Microsoft Editor, or like there's some setting they're trying out on some people. I don't know.
Yeah, I was curious if I would get it with the new Notepad, but no.
No. Me neither. No. And then you said to me, did you get the new Notepad early? I'm like, come on, man. Do you know who I am? Of course I didn't.
Do you think there are people who do want this kind of proactive autocorrection?
A system level autocorrect is actually not a horrible feature. I guess
don't like autocomplete, though. I don't want
it writing my words because
exactly.
You know how bad autocorrect is. It often is wrong.
Word does this now, and you hit tab to keep it completing. Right. It works like IntelliSense actually in Visual Studio.
If you hit tab, that's okay. It sounds like Mary Jo wasn't doing anything. It just said, no, you don't mean that.
Leo might have touched on.
I was typing the word update, I believe, and I put UP, and then it did upside or something. Like I saw it complete.
You know what?
Oh, but you keep typing D, and then it says, oh, no. And then, but I think keep typing.
Leo might be onto something here. He said, or he suggested, I think you might be seeing this because you use Notepad a lot. That might actually be true. I use Notepad a lot too, but not like you do.
It's learning.
Yeah, like I
well, for instance, it might know that you often shorten an acronym. And so it might mean, you mean to do it this way. But of course, as a reporter,
you've done it enough in an app that is controlled by Windows 11 or whatever that it actually started to.
Maybe.
You have awoken the AI. What is wrong with that?
That might be what happened. I know.
Sorry,
Maybe
Mary Jo. I can't allow you to type that.
That's right. You're like,
My
Microsoft's wrong again. I'm
notepad's
sorry,
taken
Mary Jo.
over.
I'm sorry, Mary Jo.
Right.
You meant to type.
I don't know. It was pretty spooky, you guys. That's all I'm going to say. And I really, when it happened once, I thought, I just imagined that. And then when it happened like a couple hours later again, I'm like, nope, I didn't imagine that. That's happening.
I would love to see this happen in real
Tip
life.
of the week. Watch
I'm not
out
saying you.
for
I'm
Windows
not
11
saying you
autocorrect.
hallucinated it. I'm not saying that.
Well,
No,
as an example, as a good reporter, when you first use an acronym, you probably type it out and thereafter use the acronym.
Right.
But it doesn't know, and so it's every time you try to type out the acronym, it says, no.
You must mean.
You must mean
So
IBM.
wait, Andy T in Discord is saying there's a setting to show text suggestions, but I
Well,
don't,
that's what
Show
it would be
text
called,
suggestions.
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
see,
think I have that on anywhere.
well, I think that might also be on the hardware keyboard. Actually, that's not on by default. Interesting.
Here's what he says it looks like. And I
Yeah.
think, but you didn't see that. It just typed it.
It just put it
It
there.
did it in place. He did it. There's an in-place suggestion, which you can override, obviously.
Oh yeah, I've never seen that either, but now I do see that. Oh, I don't like that.
I don't like it
That's-
either.
Yeah, a lot of because
No.
you know why? Because so
So how
many
do you-
the kids today they think a computer is a phone, and they don't have all the features of a phone in their computer. They're very confused.
But this is a bad.
Guys.
This is a bad. You have to, in order to select one of those words, you have to use the mouse.
Yeah, no, it's
I'm
not
typing.
ergonomic.
I'm typing. Why would
Well,
I?
that's why it's doing what Mary Jo's one was doing, which was it just does it in place, and you keep typing. Or if you like it,
Right.
Mary Jo, I bet if you hit tab at that point, just like Intella whatever, complete
IntelliSense.
IntelliSense.
Well, no, I mean, the text suggestion feature doesn't work with tab. It actually just puts a tab in the text.
Oh,
I wish
well,
it
that's
did
not
work that
good.
way. No, that's what I mean. You have to select it with the mouse. It's kind of.
You don't know, but I'm talking about Mary Jo's, whatever's happened to Mary Jo. There must be some way to signal after you type IN and it says inside.
Yes,
there must
it's
be some
probably
way
a
to
tab.
signal,
Yeah.
maybe a right
Probably
arrow
tab.
or tab that was correct.
right.
I'm used to that. A lot of command line,
Oh, really?
shells do
Interesting.
that. Yeah, I really like that. That's
Honestly, autocomplete on a Unix shell would be smart. That's not.
oh yeah, mine does. Fish does that. Z shell
that's a
does
good
that.
idea.
Bash does not. I don't think.
Oh,
but
it's
you
not the
can- you can-
1970s anymore. That's
Yeah.
really good.
No, it's really nice. In fact, it auto
I'm just telling
completes
you,
to
it
the
was
last.
scary.
Yeah.
I wish I'd like
I
to see
didn't
this.
like it. I did not
I've never
like
seen
it.
that text suggestion thing. I don't like that.
You get used to it. You just, if you don't like it, you
do?
keep typing. Yeah. And if you do like it, at least in the shell, you hit right arrow. And
You
then
know,
it
I
goes, oh,
have
yeah.
it
used to
turned
it.
on.
It's
I have
like-
text suggestions on my phone, and I don't like it either. I should shut it off. I don't know why I don't, but
So there's, but
Right,
again,
right.
there's two different ways of doing it. One is that autocorrect where you would have to use a mouse to indicate that's the word I want.
Yeah.
Forget that. That's for a phone
Yeah.
where you're already using your fingers. But it does make
Well,
sense.
but there's a shortcut there too. Don't you hit space or something
Maybe,
to get it
yeah,
to?
yeah.
There's some. I can't remember.
But how does it? Oh, we just pick the most
I think
common
so.
one.
The one in the middle.
One
yeah,
in the middle. Yeah. Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah,
think so.
You're right. Yeah. I'm very used to doing that in shell, where you type because there's a lot of long commands you type over and over again. So
Right.
as soon as I type git space, it goes.
Oh, I love that.
Oh,
That's
I know
really
what you were
nice.
thinking, and then you can use the up and down arrow to go through all the git commands you've used, and when you find the one you want, right arrow, and you're done. Saves a lot of typing. Saves a lot
yeah.
of typing.
Everyone's like, "Did you use the right arrow?" I'm like, "Guys, I never use the arrow key. Like, I don't use tab. I don't use any
Well, how
of
do
these
you
keys.
move
I
back
just-
and forth in the text?
I move my mouse and
Oh,
put
you're
it
using
somewhere.
a mouse. Oh, no, Mary
Yeah.
Jo, Mary Jo, Mary Jo.
Guys,
Never take your fingers
everyone
off the
has
home
their
row.
way. Everyone has their ways.
No, you're right. It's just that your way is wrong.
I can't change the way I work now.
Is to keep the flow. Yeah, well, don't because it make you self-conscious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. All right. Well, that was Mary Jo's tip of the week.
My
Now-
crazy tip of the week.
Now I'm crazy. I don't know what to do. You want to do an app pick, Mary Jo?
No.
All right, Paul. I guess it's on you, dude.
All right. So I don't remember when this happened last year sometime. Google bought Cloud Ready, which was a third-party company that was making Chrome OS available on laptops of
Yeah,
any
they
kind,
did.
right?
Neverwhere did it. Yeah.
That's right, Neverwhere. Sorry. And so this product is going to become something called Chrome OS Flex. It's now available in an early preview. Yeah. So I gave this a shot. I think I did last night, actually, but I was playing around with it today. And I used an HP laptop a couple of years old. And it's very similar to the Never Ready product. I mean, in fact, it still says Cloud Ready in some places. But basically, it's a way to repurpose a computer that maybe is getting a little out of date, or maybe it doesn't run Windows 11. It's kind of interesting, right? So it works pretty good. It's kind of weird what works and what doesn't. I mean, basically, it works fine. The laptop I tried it on doesn't have any sound, which is kind of a bummer. But a lot of the basic stuff like multi-touch works. The keyboard backlighting is automatic. It works excellent. It's probably going to be hit or miss depending on what kind of hardware you have. They do have a list of approved PCs, and they'll show you what works and what doesn't, or whatever, or how well it works. I didn't consult that list. I probably should have before I installed it, but it's still actually pretty good. Since I wrote it up, I've been able to see the power management works. I have no idea what the battery life is, obviously, but Chrome OS is a much smaller, lighter system than Windows, so the potential is there. The one unfortunate bit, depending on your perspective, is there's no Google Play Store. And that means you can't install Android apps. So whether that's a problem or not, or whether that's something maybe that changes in the future, I don't know. But they just announced that. And I thought this was kind of interesting. I'll keep my eye on this. I like the idea of repurposing an older computer like this. It's kind of a nice idea.
And you can do it with Intel Macs. I think, this has been an issue. What do I do with these old computers? And I think it's a great solution. I really do. I often tell people to put Linux on it, but that's not as novice friendly as Chrome OS.
It's quick too. The total install process took under 5 minutes.
Wow.
And I think it took me a couple of minutes longer just to make the USB key that you used to install the software. It was so quick. I was actually really surprised by that. So that's kind of nice.
I used Cloud Ready way back when it was an independent company, and it didn't work on a lot of machines. But I guess Google's been making it more compatible, so that's good.
I got to look this up. I did too, and I don't remember what the experience was like per se. But I don't know.
I love the idea. It's great.
Yeah, I do too.
I want to try it.
Schools will like this. Yeah, you probably have a few old Surface laptops lying around.
I have one old Asus. Machine that I had trouble with, and I'm like, you know what? It's just sitting here. It might be an interesting way to experiment. I could be a Chromebook user.
Yeah. I think you could.
Perfect.
I really do.
That's a really good point. Here's a way without any risk to try it and see.
Oh, that's a good point. I should mention that. I installed it. You don't actually have to do that. You can make the installer, and like with Linux distributions, you boot off the installer, and instead of installing it, you just run it from there.
Yeah.
So you can test it without even installing it if you just wanted to see what it was like. So you could do that on any laptop, really.
Yeah.
I didn't do that. I do a lot of things wrong, not because I'm Jerry Purnell, but because I'm an idiot. But I installed it. The other thing, just a note, this isn't so much a tip or a pick or anything, but apparently Google Pixels will soon be able to stream apps to Windows PCs. Now, this is another. Yeah. So Google is starting to do a lot of integration with computers. Now, obviously, they make Chromebooks, but they know that most people run Windows PCs, and so they're starting to do more stuff on the Windows side as well. Notably not doing it with Microsoft, right? Microsoft has their own thing, Your Phone, that does this sort of thing. It only works with certain phones, I believe, and it's not necessarily all that great. It's pretty buggy. But if Google is, they're doing a thing with Google Play Store games on Windows, also an early preview. This is going to be an interesting year for Windows users and Android on a multiple levels. And I think what Google is trying to do through all these things is provide Android users with the type of platform integration that Apple users get between the iPhone and the Mac, but on the Windows/Chromebook side. So kind of interesting.
Kind of. Very interesting. Very interesting.
Try it.
Yeah. Enterprise Pick of the Week with Mary Jo Foley.
Yes. So this may be the beginning of the end for ADFS. ADFS is Active Directory Federation Service.
Sorry.
It's funny. I wrote so many articles back in the day about ADFS. When I saw this article, I was like, oh, man, really? This has been around forever.
Yep.
But as of this week, there's a new public preview of something called the Certificate-Based Authentication for Azure AD, CBA for Azure AD, just because you don't have enough acronyms there. So, ADFS is a Windows Server role for federating with Azure Active Directory. But if you had this certificate-based authentication, you wouldn't really need ADFS, right? CBA will let companies authenticate using X.509 certificates without a federation service. So Microsoft is pitching this as, you know what? You're going to be able to directly authenticate against Azure AD. That means no management cost, no management overhead. And here's the key, no complex on-premises deployments. So, Microsoft wants everybody to go to the cloud. So, they want you to go cloud authentication instead of using on-prem. So, the enterprise pick is if you're interested in possibly finding a way around using ADFS, check out this new public preview of Azure AD CBA. So that's AADCBA.
Now I know why autocorrect was trying to replace that. Wow.
Yep.
I'm like, I'm not playing Wordle right now.
Holy cow. It is a 5-letter word. Yes. Wow.
Yeah,
that's funny.
I know. Acronym soup.
And enterprise pick number 2 is Sriracha the cat. Oh.
Yes, there's 2 virtual events next week that might be of interest to people who care about the enterprise. One of them is in this What's Next for series that Microsoft did a lot of last year. What's next for Windows? What's next for the cloud? They were supposed to do an event called What's Next for Security last year, and they never ended up doing it. Well, now we know they're doing this on February 24th. They've got a full day event with all their security experts. It's free. You can register now online. Just look up What's Next for Security from Microsoft. It starts at 9 a.m. Pacific. It covers like all the bases. I don't know if they've got any news announcements around this. I would guess they may have some because that's how they did this last year. But they're going to talk about market trends and customer stories, but also about products and roadmaps and where they're going with security. So if you care about security, you're probably going to want to tune in for that on February 24th. Also on February 24th, if you don't care about security, but you do care about Azure, high-performance computing, and AI, you've got your own event you could attend virtually. This is Microsoft's very first Azure HPC plus AI Day. So if you want to find out about this, go to the Azure blog by Microsoft, and you can get all the details on this. It's actually a 2-day event. There's AI swag, whatever AI swag is. I don't know what you get for AI swag. Maybe you get like a Notepad bot that helps you autocomplete. I don't know if that's among the swag. But there's lots of cool stuff. If you care about high-performance computing, if you care about how to create a software-as-a-service solution using AI on Azure, there's stuff for you. Also some customer stories and partner stories. So another free virtual event that you might be interested in if you care about those topics.
Excellent. Now, Mary Jo, it's time for your version of the Uber Eats commercial.
Yes.
We're going to call it You
pretty
Can't Drinks This. Beer of the Week from Mary Jo Foley.
Right. So not all my beer picks are beers I love. Sometimes they're warnings. Like, remember last week was a warning about the Western Maryland vacation packages that had bread pudding in it. This week, there's a little warning about a beer from Finback called Orange Puffs. So I like Finback. Finback makes like a lot of beers that are dessert beers where they use lactose, and they make beers that taste like cake, beers that taste like creamsicles. So I'm like, this is going to be amazing. It's blood orange and vanilla. How can it be bad?
Sounds great.
Guys,
sounds like a creamsicle. Sounds wonderful.
Terrible.
Terrible.
So terrible. So beyond terrible. Unless you like orange soda. If you like that artificial orange soda taste, that's exactly what this tastes like.
Tang. It tastes like tang.
Yeah, tang. It tastes exactly like Tang, right? And I was expecting something to taste kind of more like, I don't know, ice cream or something fun with vanilla, but no. I'm not the only one you should go by. If you go on Untapped and look up this beer called Orange Puffs, a lot of people like it. Yeah. But I took a sip of it and I'm like, that is absolutely horrible. And I had to pour it out.
You kind of wonder, like this, Finback probably said, well, it seems like a good idea. Let's try it. Because
it sounds good.
They've got 50 vats of this stuff.
Right. Yeah, right.
Even if their beer master goes, oh, that's terrible. They're still going to try to sell it because
someone will drink it.
Somebody will drink it. And in fact, if you look at Untapped, quite a few people.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was very sad because I like so many of their beers where they try interesting combinations of fruit, sours.
That's the problem with experimentation. You never know.
You never know.
That's why I never leave the house.
Yeah.
It was just a big no. I immediately had to open a bourbon barrel beer and rinse my mouth out immediately.
Space
Not
beer.
good. Not good, guys.
It's good enough for astronauts. It's good enough for beer.
Tang. You know what? Tang is the right word. That's what it was. It was Tang in a beer.
So not like a cheesy puff. It was more like Tang.
No.
See, there's a whole generation of people, actually, people your age, Mary Jo, who grew up with Tang.
I drank Tang as a kid.
Yeah,
it
I
was
did too.
fine.
Yeah. Maybe that's why you don't like it now.
Well, there's a lot of things I ate as a kid that I wouldn't go near now.
Yeah. Right.
Right.
And I would be interested in trying Tang. I haven't had Tang in,
so you
40
both,
years or
it must
something.
be, maybe it's a Boston thing. You both grew up with Tang.
How do you feel about Ovaltine? Was that a thing?
I love
for you growing up?
Ovaltine.
I liked
That's
Ovaltine.
malt.
It
That's
was
fine.
good.
Ovaltine's
Yeah,
was
and then
good.
also Strawberry Quick.
Yeah, not so
No.
much. I grew up with it, but not so much. Do you remember Fizzies?
No.
There were tablets
What
that
were
you put in
those?
water. It turns it into soda.
Oh, that's
No.
fun.
Yeah.
Was it
You know,
good,
I
though?
tell people about this.
I think your
Nobody
parents were
remembers
just
it.
giving you like those hangover cures.
It's really Pepto, but
It was
enjoy it.
Alka-Seltzer.
It's a little Alka-Seltzer. I think that's what it was. Is people made Alka-Seltzer thought, you could put root beer flavor in this instead of aspirin.
You
Yeah, why
could.
not? Yeah, that's kind of fun.
Yeah. Okay. I think we've had enough.
I think we have. It all went downhill after the Notepad tip. It just kept going downhill.
My goodness.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed today's episode of Windows Weekly, and I hope you will be back for more. We record every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1900 UTC. Live.twit.tv has live audio and video streams. They run all day and night, so you can tune in anytime and hear something there. People listening live often chat live. There's two places you could do that in our free chat room, irc.twit.tv. And for members of Club Twit, there's a Discord. Actually, our Discord is so much fun. Not only channels for each show, but for every topic. I spend a lot of time in the coding channel. We've got a Let's Play channel. We've just started letting people into the Twit Minecraft server. If you're a Club Twit member, drop into Let's Play. Give me your Java handle, and I'll add you to the server. They're building some really cool stuff in there, so the server is back to life. Club Twit members also get ad-free versions of all the shows. They get special shows that are only in the Club Discord. Stacy's Book Club, the Untitled Linux Show, the Giz Fizz. I think we've got a Odocta fireside chat coming up this week. Or maybe, I think it's this week. We just did one with Georgia Dow. It's just really a lot of great content. All of that also ends up on a special feed, the Twit Plus feed. Also, our new space show, This Week in Space with Rod Pyle and Tarek Malik from space.com. And it's the way we're doing that one. And this is, again, thanks to the club members whose $7 a month kind of subsidizes this. We're in the workshop phase for this podcast. So we're doing it in the club. Once we got it, to a state where we really like it, we'll do it, make it public. So that will be a public feed eventually. Audio only, though. So again, this is something that Club Twit makes possible. Thank you in advance. You can join by going to twit.tv/clubtwit. There's corporate memberships as well as individual memberships. We just got a new corporate member. Thank you. It's just I think something you might want to check out. After the fact, of course, we still offer everything for free. On-demand versions of this show available at twit.tv/WW. You can also subscribe in your favorite podcast player. And if you do, please leave Paul and Mary Jo a 5-star review. Let the world know Windows Weekly exists. Paul?
Does.
Yes.
It does.
It does. It exists. That's all I can say. It exists. It is.
It is.
It is. Paul is at thurrott.com, THURROTT.com. Are your .NET articles under the premium banner?
Yeah. So it's really it's called Programming Windows. It's the history of Windows.
Right.
But I'm in the .NET era now is what I've been doing for the past month. So
That's been a great series.
A lot of .NET stuff.
Well worth joining the premium feed for that. His book is The Field Guide to Windows 10. That's at leanpub.com. And automatically updates. New one coming out for Windows 11. Paul's working on it. Mary Jo Foley is always writing on her blog for ZDNet, all about Microsoft.com. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
And we shall return next week with another gripping edition of Windows Weekly. Bye-bye. I was gripped. I got
I was
gripped me.
I had some stomach issues this morning. It was kind of gripping.
The creep. All right.
Don't miss All About Android every week. We talk about the latest news, hardware, apps, and now all the developer-y goodness happening in the Android ecosystem. I'm Jason Howell, also joined by Ron Richards, Florence Ion, and our newest co-host on the panel, Wen Tu Dao, who brings her developer chops. Really great stuff. We also invite people from all over the Android ecosystem to talk about this mobile platform we love so much. Join us every Tuesday, All About Android on twit.tv.